Once mom gets discharged, I'm counting on you to take care of her. What? You're going to be the one taking care of her? It's obvious we're family. He threatened me with divorce papers when I refused to take care of my mother-in-law. Do you want to be a poor single mom? If you don't, then just do as you're told. I can't take it anymore. I'm so done with this life. Just watch it. I'll make you regret this for sure. My name is Catherine. I'm 43. I live with my husband, Bob, and our high school-aged daughter, Emma. We get by on Bob's salary and the part-time work I do to support our family. We're not rich by any means, but we have a reasonably good life. Then one day, the worst thing happened. Catherine, it looks like mom has collapsed and has been taken to the hospital. Ah, your mom. My mother-in-law lies alone at home, but she's spry for her age. Apparently, she hurt her back in an accident while she was out shopping and now has to stay in the hospital for a while. Anyway, it's good that her life's not in danger. I'll go check on her at the hospital tomorrow. All right, take care. Aren't you coming? Huh? Why would I? Right, okay, I'll go alone. Please send my regards to your mom. Why? I don't visit my mother-in-law in the hospital. That's because I've cut ties with her. I've been married to Bob for 20 years. Since the beginning, my mother-in-law has detested me and has gone out of her way to make life difficult. You're really inefficient, aren't you, Catherine? You're not suitable for my son. I wish he had a better wife. I never imagined you'd be this useless, enduring the continuous verbal abuse from my mother-in-law that wore down my spirit. Whatever I did, it was always, father-in-law is useless, not good enough. Poor Bob. And so on. I was met with complaints every time we met. But I held on as long as I could because she was Bob's mother, whom I love. However, even after my daughter Emma was born, the mother-in-law's harsh words did not stop. On the contrary, she started finding fault with Emma as well. Just great, the long-awaited grandchild is a girl. She can't carry on the family name. She's of no use. If it's a girl, she should just at least be pretty. Who on earth does she take after? Amidst the difficult days, the worst situation that finally decided the end of our relationship occurred one day when my mother-in-law was unusually relaxed at our house. My daughter ran up to her with a picture book. "Granny, can you read this?" The moment Emma handed over the book, mother-in-law knocked it down and hurled at Emma, "Don't touch me with your dirty hands. I don't need an unattractive grandchild like you." Emma was startled by her grandmother's loud voice and began to cry. "Granny's scary." I must have been very sad. She was sobbing, and it hurt me to see her like that. Even yelling at my young daughter, I had reached my limit. "Hey, mother-in-law, what do you think you're doing?" I rushed over, but my mother-in-law showed no signs of remorse. Rather, she snapped, "It's your daughter's fault." "You've got to be kidding. I saw what you did. You knocked Emma's book out of her hand, didn't you? Trying to touch me with her dirty hands." "Dirty hands? Can you say that? If you're going to do this to my daughter, don't come to our house anymore. They'll get cheeky with me. I don't care about you all. Why did you come to see Bob? This is also the house of me and Emma. Stop making silly excuses." In this way, my mother-in-law got into a big argument. Bob just stood there flustered, saying, "Hey, both of you, please stop," and didn't even warn his mother. She eventually went home grumbling all the while, but this proved to be the final straw. "I can't deal with your mother anymore. I'm fed up with you not defending me and Emma. Let's get divorced." When I said that, Bob started flustering again. "Hey, wait a minute. Even I find my mom tough to deal with. I just couldn't say anything because it was all so sudden. Today, I'm on your side, Catherine and Emma. People can say anything they want, but unless you act on it, it means nothing. Anyway, I can't take it anymore." Then my husband made a proposal. Okay, if you insist, Catherine, I don't mind if you cut ties with my mom. But please, I beg you, don't divorce me." I was torn. Would there be any benefit staying with such an unreliable husband in the future? Even if we cut ties, could I really avoid any interaction with my husband's mother forever? In the end, the reason I didn't go through with the divorce was because of our daughter. Our daughter adores her father, and he's a good and caring dad when he's with her. For our young daughter's sake, taking away her father right now wouldn't be right. So I decided to put the divorce on hold on the condition that I'd sever ties with my mother-in-law. But if anything else happens, I won't be lenient. I get it. I'll talk to my mom too. And with that, we reached an agreement, and I severed ties with my mother-in-law. I'll never let my daughter meet her grandmother again. That was a condition of our reconciliation. After 10 years, I can't forget what my mother-in-law did. As for visiting her, that's out of the question. Frankly, what happens to my mother-in-law isn't my business. A few days later, my husband came to me with a serious look on his face. Catherine, I need to talk. What is it? My husband looked awkward in response to my question. It's about my mom. Apparently, she'll need care after she's discharged. So what? It'll cost a lot if she goes to a facility, right? So I was thinking we should take care of her at home. Oh, that's impressive. Good luck. No, not me. You. What? What is he talking about? What? You're not seriously. You know that my mother's in a bad way, right, Catherine? He fell silent. The fact that he even suggests this was beyond my comprehension, to avoid any unwarranted expectations. I laid it out for him clearly. Look, I have a job too, and there's no way I can take on the responsibility of caring for your mother. But you're just working part-time, right? Surely you can find some time to take care of my mother. If that's what you think, then I'll just talk to my boss about switching to full-time. How about that? There was no point in dragging out the conversation. My feelings weren't going to change, and his timid demeanor was only annoying me. Although he looked like he wanted to say something, I naturally ignored him. The next day, it seemed he had spoken to his mother in the hospital as she called me. Excuse me, Catherine, what on earth are you thinking, refusing to care for your own mother-in-law? Yes, I refuse. Is there a problem? Her bizarre shriek came through the phone when faced with my calm response. For me, in my time, of course, I've cut you off. Remember, you're not even my mother-in-law to me anymore. I have no desire to help you with your care. What did you just say? How dare you? You and that errant child absolutely will not tolerate this refusal. To be honest, I considered just hanging up on her. It was a hassle. But if I didn't firmly reject her now, she'd probably just keep calling. I was prepared to settle this today, so I faced off with my mother-in-law. Do you remember why I cut you off in the first place, mother-in-law? What do you mean? Are you implying I've done something wrong? Have you already forgotten? Because of your insidious bullying and your appalling attitude towards my daughter. My husband also agreed to this decision. Goodbye. Wait, hold on. With no further discussion, I ended the call and promptly blocked her number. A few days later, Bob tried to bring up the topic again. Hey, about my mom. Again, I couldn't hide my irritation as I responded. Just so we're clear, I have absolutely no sympathy for my mother-in-law. No matter what happens to her, I've told you again and again that I won't provide care, right? Unexpectedly, her normally compliant husband shot back without hesitation. No, you're going to take care of my mom. Count on it. What? What does he mean? I've repeatedly stated that I don't want to have anything to do with my estranged mother-in-law. Is he like a chicken forgetting everything after taking 3 steps? Count on it is not the response I want. I said I will provide care, remember? I fired back defiantly, but my husband is different today. No matter how much I argue, he persistently pushes back. The heated argument I had with my mother-in-law on the phone days ago came to mind. Probably my mother-in-law had given him a piece of her mind afterward. Anyway, you're going to take care of my mom. It's obvious, isn't it? Former family, right? Remember, it was your idea to cut ties with your mother. That was then. My mom is now weak, and it's a different situation. She's not as energetic as she was after hospitalization. Yet you're still talking like a child. Childish? Me? The reason we're in this situation is because of that damn mother-in-law's childish harassment. And according to the conversation on the phone, your mother seemed pretty lively, didn't she? And even my husband repeatedly demands. I take care of his mother. I'm not going to back down. No matter what you say, I can't do what I can't do. And if it's that important to you, you can do it yourself. At that, her husband silently handed her a sheet of paper. What's this? Can't you tell? It's a divorce paper. To her shock, her husband had presented her with a completed divorce form. If you don't want to get divorced, take care of my mom. My silent disbelief only prompted my husband to pressure me more. You'd be in trouble if we divorce now, right? Emma will be a college student next year. You just a part-timer. Can't possibly survive if you divorce me now, right? If you don't like it, just do as you're told. The man who didn't consider my feelings, using our daughter as leverage to threaten me. I just can't continue being married to someone like this. It's impossible. The moment I was convinced of this, I felt my feelings for my husband quickly disappear. I'm going to end this. That's what I thought. Hey, are you even listening? You were all fired up just a moment ago. Now, a divorce is a reality. Are you scared? My husband looked down at me, laughing. My daughter came into the room, probably hearing us argue. Hey, I heard raised voices. What's going on? Then my husband started a tirade on Emma too. Oh, you're just in time. You'll be helping with your grandmother's care too. What? Why me? It's obvious, isn't it? She's your beloved grandma. You could at least help with the caregiving. I couldn't believe that they would impose my mother-in-law's care on my daughter without a second thought. I was so pissed off that I signed the divorce papers as fast as I could. What are you doing, Catherine? Isn't it obvious? I'm signing the divorce papers. I'll go submit them once I'm done. Perhaps he hadn't expected me to agree to the divorce so easily. Bob started to panic. Oh, hey, enough already. Did you even listen to me? You're going to be the one who's going to have a hard time if we get divorced. I don't care. Compared to staying involved with you, any hardship seems bearable. With divorce papers in hand, I began to prepare to leave. Then, perhaps numb to the situation, my husband took the final step. Are you sure about this? If we divorce, you'll have to give up Emma. I'm warning you, I'll get custody. You'll never see our daughter again. A husband who had no doubt in his mind that he's superior to his wife. Truly, how stupid can you be? Even if we get divorced, I will not give up my daughter. I will do whatever it takes to provide for my daughter at all costs. I will get custody of Emma. Shut up. Considering our financial situation, it's natural that I get her. You won't see our daughter again. Tough luck. At that moment, Emma, who had been quietly listening, chimed in. What are you talking about? I'm going with Mom. Ha! At Emma's words, Bob stood there dumbstruck. What are you saying? If you follow your mother, Catherine, you'll only face hardship. I don't care. It's better than being with you, Dad. I would never want to take care of Grandma. That's right. My daughter had not forgotten what my mother-in-law had done to her in the past. I really hate Grandma for bullying Mom. I'm also disgusted with you, Dad, for not helping my mom. I don't care about the money. I'm going to live with Mom. At my daughter's words, a surge of indescribable emotion welled up within me. I had hoped she would choose to come with me, but I never imagined that she thought it through so much. My husband, looking quite pathetic, started trying to persuade us to stay. Wait just a second. Wait, if you're gone, who's gonna take care of the house? Why don't you do it yourself, Dad? My daughter responded with a smirk. You can take care of Grandma and do all the housework all by yourself. That's impossible. I have a job, you know. So what? Mom has been working and doing house chores, and you want her to take care of Grandma on top of that, expecting others to do what you won't do yourself. That's ridiculous. My daughter gave my husband a thorough tongue lashing, leaving him completely stunned. Eventually, he resorted to his usual tactic of crying to win us over. Oh, why are you guys blaming me so much? I just asked for a little help with the caregiving. There was a time when we might have let it slide, but neither my daughter nor I have that kind of patience anymore. Looking at my crying husband, all we could do was shake our heads in disbelief. Let's go, Mom. Let's hurry up and pack our things. Right. My daughter and I each packed our belongings, took the divorce papers, and left the house. My husband kept crying, trying to stop us until the last moment, but of course, we ignored him completely. We submitted the divorce papers at the city hall, and our divorce was finalized. My daughter and I decided to live at my parents' house for a while. By the way, my family runs a flower shop. Right now, I am working part-time and helping out with the family's flower shop, trying to save money for my daughter's college tuition. My husband continued to contact me persistently even after that. Mom is throwing stuff at me. Help me. I can't handle it anymore on my own. Please come back. Since he was so annoying, I blocked his contact. Living with my ill-tempered mother-in-law every day must be quite a struggle, and it seems that my husband is having to care for her day and night without any sleep. Finally, my company has moved to shorter working hours, and my paycheck seems to be barely scraping by. If I had known it would come to this, I should have done whatever it took to put my mother-in-law into a facility. Well, it's too late to talk about what I should have done now. Besides, thanks to my husband making a fuss about caregiving, I'm able to spend these days with my daughter. I guess I should thank him for that bit. From now on, I want to live each day in cooperation with my cherished family.
The notification chimed, a harmless little sound that would end up destroying my life. I was blow-drying my hair, getting ready for work, when I glanced at my phone and saw the message from Ava. "Is this you?" She'd attached a screenshot of a dating profile. I squinted at it, confused, then nearly dropped my phone into the sink. My face stared back at me. My face? On a profile I'd never created. "What the hell?" I whispered, fingers trembling as I zoomed in. The profile name read Mackenzie After Hours with a bio that made my stomach turn. Executive assistant by day, whatever you want by night. Married men welcome, I know how to be discreet. I sat down hard on the edge of the bathtub, my legs suddenly unable to support me. The blow dryer clattered to the floor, still humming against the tile. I couldn't breathe. 3 more photos of me followed. One from the company Christmas party in a black dress I'd saved for months to buy. Another from a beach trip last summer, laughing with Diego. The third was from my Instagram, me at my desk, captioned with a joke about needing more coffee. I called Ava immediately. "Where did you find this?" My voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. "London sent it to me. She said she was on this app and recognized you." "London? Freya's friend. My boss's wife's friend." "I didn't make this profile," I said. "Someone's using my pictures." "I figured," Ava said. "It seemed way off-brand for you. But Mac, it's been active for weeks. London said she's seen conversations from this account." The bathroom suddenly felt too small. I walked to the bedroom where Diego was still sleeping, his dark hair messy against the pillow, one arm flung across what had been my side of the bed minutes earlier. "What conversations?" I whispered, moving to the hallway. "Flirty ones. With married men. Including..." She hesitated. "Including who, Ava?" "Flynn. My boss. My married boss. Married to Freya." "That's impossible," I said, but even as the words left my mouth, pieces started clicking into place. The strange looks from coworkers, Flynn's sudden coolness toward me after months of mentoring. The way Freya had watched me at the office party last week, her eyes following me across the room. "I need to see these conversations," I said. "London's sending them to me now. I'll forward everything." I ended the call and leaned against the wall, trying to think through the fog of panic. Who would do this? Who had access to my photos? Who would want to destroy my reputation this way? The bedroom door opened and Diego appeared, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Everything okay?" "I heard you talking." I showed him my phone wordlessly, watched his expression change as he scrolled through the screenshots. "What the hell, Mackenzie?" His voice hardened. "Is this real?" "Of course not." I grabbed the phone back. "Someone made this profile using my pictures. I would never..." "Then why does it have conversations from you? With your boss?" He was fully awake now, eyes narrowed. "What? Let me see." I hadn't gotten to those yet. Diego pulled up his own phone. "London sent these to me an hour ago. I was hoping you'd have an explanation." My heart stopped. London had sent these to Diego? Before Ava even told me? The messages were there on his screen. Explicit. Unmistakable. My profile picture next to words I'd never written, arranging meetings I'd never attended with my boss. "Diego, this isn't me. Someone set me up." His face had gone cold in a way I'd never seen before. "I've been watching you work late for months, taking calls at odd hours. I trusted you." Because there was nothing to distrust. Flynn's been mentoring me for the executive program. You know how important that is to me. Apparently not as important as sleeping with him. "I'm not sleeping with anyone but you." My voice rose, desperation clawing at my throat. Diego was already pulling a duffel bag from the closet. "I need some time. I can't do this right now." "Do what? Believe me? Trust me? After 3 years together, you think I'd do this?" He stuffed clothes into the bag without looking at me. "The messages go back 2 months, Mackenzie. They're detailed. They mention things about the office only you would know." I felt like I was drowning. Someone is framing me. It has to be Freya. She's always hated me. Diego zipped the bag closed. Freya? Flynn's wife? Why would she pretend you're sleeping with her husband? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. He walked past me toward the door. Call me when you're ready to tell the truth. The apartment door closed behind him with a soft click that somehow hurt more than if he'd slammed it. My phone buzzed with Ava's forwarded messages. More screenshots, more evidence of things I'd never done. I scrolled through them, nausea rising in my throat, until I saw something that made everything click. A tiny detail in one of the messages. A reference to Freya's favorite restaurant, one she'd mentioned in passing at a company event months ago. Only someone close to Freya would know that. Someone who wanted to destroy me. I grabbed my keys. I needed to confront Freya before this spread any further. As I rushed out the door, my phone buzzed again. A text from Flynn. We need to talk. My office, 9 a.m. sharp. The office felt different as I walked in, like everyone knew something I didn't. Conversations stopped when I passed. Eyes followed me, then darted away when I looked back. I kept my chin up, clutching my coffee cup so tightly I was surprised it didn't shatter. 9 o'clock, Flynn's office, 20 minutes to go. Ava intercepted me at my desk, her eyes wide with concern. Are you okay? You look like hell. Diego left this morning, I said, my voice flat. After seeing those messages. Oh, Mac. She squeezed my arm. He'll come around once he realizes you were set up. Will he? Because right now I'm not sure anyone believes me. I glanced around the office, including Flynn. What did he say in his text? Just that we need to talk, which is corporate speak for you're screwed. I dropped my bag under my desk. I need to see Freya before I meet with him. Freya's here? Ava looked surprised. She never comes to the office. Exactly. But her car is in the parking garage. I recognized the vanity plate. I'd spent the entire train ride to work obsessing over why Freya would frame me. We'd always been cordial, professional, even friendly at company events. She'd never given any indication she saw me as a threat. I need to find her before my meeting, I said, standing up. Cover for me? Ava nodded, but her expression was troubled. Just be careful, okay? This whole thing feels calculated. I found Freya in the executive lounge, perched on a leather sofa with a tablet in her lap. She looked up when I entered, her face a perfect mask of polite surprise. Mackenzie, good morning. Why did you do it? I asked, keeping my voice low despite the empty room. She tilted her head slightly. Do what, exactly? Create a fake dating profile with my pictures. Pretend to be me. Send messages to your husband. Freya set her tablet aside, her movements deliberate. That's quite an accusation. It's not an accusation. It's a fact. I stepped closer. The profile mentioned your favorite restaurant, the one in the West Village with the truffle pasta you talked about at the Christmas party. No one else would know that detail. Something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, at being caught in such a small slip. But she recovered quickly. I have no idea what you're talking about, she said, standing. But I do know my husband received inappropriate messages from you. Messages that London showed me weeks ago, which I chose to ignore out of respect for Flynn's working relationship with you. Those weren't from me. The evidence suggests otherwise. Her voice was silk over steel. Flynn trusted you. I trusted you in my home at our dinner parties, and this is how you repay that trust? My hands were shaking. You're turning this around. You created that profile to make it look like I was pursuing Flynn. I want to know why. Freya's smile never reached her eyes. Perhaps you should consider that not everything is a conspiracy against you, Mackenzie. Sometimes people simply show their true colors. My true colors? I've worked 80-hour weeks for this company. I've canceled dates with Diego to finish projects. Yes, your poor boyfriend. Her tone shifted to something almost like pity. London mentioned he didn't take the news well. The realization hit me like a physical blow. You made sure London sent those screenshots to Diego, didn't you? You wanted to destroy my relationship too. Freya checked her watch. I believe you have a meeting with my husband in 5 minutes. I wouldn't keep him waiting. I wanted to scream, to grab her by the shoulders and shake the truth out of her. Instead, I took a deep breath. This isn't over, I said quietly. For you? I think it might be. She picked up her tablet and walked past me, the scent of her expensive perfume lingering in the air. Flynn was waiting when I arrived at his office, his face unreadable as he gestured for me to sit. I'd rehearsed what to say a dozen times, but the words evaporated when I saw the printouts on his desk, screenshots of conversations I'd never had. I didn't send those messages, I said before he could speak. Someone created a fake profile using my photos. Flynn leaned back in his chair. Mackenzie, I've always appreciated your directness. I'm asking for the same courtesy now. I am being direct. I'm being framed, and I think Freya is behind it. His expression hardened. You're accusing my wife of creating a fake profile to impersonate you? To what end? I don't know yet, but those messages aren't from me. Flynn pushed the papers toward me. These contain references to conversations we've had in this office. Private conversations about the executive program, about your career goals. Things only you and I would know. My stomach dropped. That's not possible. It's right here. He tapped the page. Details about the London expansion I mentioned to you last month. Information about the Harrison account that hasn't been made public. I felt the walls closing in. Someone had access to information from my private meetings with Flynn. Someone who knew what we discussed. I need you to take a leave of absence, Flynn said, his voice softening slightly. Paid, while we sort this out. HR will be involved. Flynn, please. It's not negotiable. He stood up, signaling the end of our meeting. I trusted you, Mackenzie, more than you know. As I walked out, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Meet me at Blackbird Coffee at noon. I know who set you up. Come alone. Ezekiel. Ezekiel from accounting? The quiet guy who barely spoke at meetings? I glanced back at Flynn's office, where Freya had now appeared, her hand on her husband's shoulder as they spoke in low voices. Whatever game they were playing, I needed answers. And apparently, Ezekiel had them. Blackbird Coffee buzzed with the usual midday crowd. Laptops open, business meetings in hushed tones, baristas calling out complicated orders. I scanned the room twice before spotting Ezekiel in the far corner, hunched over his phone. I'd never paid much attention to him before. He was just the quiet guy from accounting who occasionally corrected Flynn's numbers during presentations. Now he might be my only ally. You came, he said as I slid into the chair across from him. No greeting, no small talk. You said you know who set me up. I kept my voice low. Was it Freya? Ezekiel glanced around before sliding his phone toward me. Not exactly. Look at this. It was an email chain between Flynn and Ava from 3 weeks ago. My heart stuttered as I read it. Where did you get this? I asked, my mouth dry. I handle the executive expense reports. Flynn accidentally forwarded this to me when submitting a receipt. He tapped the screen. Keep reading. The emails discussed me. My performance, my potential, and my inappropriate attachment to Flynn. Ava had written that I talked about Flynn constantly, that I stayed late hoping to catch time alone with him. This is bullshit, I whispered. Ava would never say these things about me. She did. Ezekiel's face remained impassive. And there's more. She's been feeding information to Freya for months. Details from your conversations, things you've told her in confidence. The coffee shop suddenly felt too warm, too crowded. Ava, my friend. The person I'd trusted most at work. The one I'd confided in just this morning. Why would she do this? The executive program. Ezekiel took his phone back. You're not the only one who wants that promotion. Ava's been gunning for it too. I thought back to all our conversations about work, about Flynn. How Ava always seemed interested in my meetings with him, always asked for details. I'd thought she was being supportive. But the dating profile, that was Freya's idea, from what I can tell. Ava just provided the ammunition. My hands were shaking. I clasped them together under the table. How do you know all this? Something flickered across Ezekiel's face. Discomfort, maybe. I notice things. People don't pay attention to the quiet guy from accounting. They talk around me, leave their computers unlocked. Why are you helping me? He hesitated. They did something similar to my sister at her company. She never recovered professionally, never even knew who was behind it. I studied his face, looking for any sign of deception. Found none. I need proof, I said finally. Something concrete I can take to HR, to Flynn. That's the problem. They've been careful. The profile was created using a VPN. The messages came from burner accounts. Then what am I supposed to do? Just let them destroy my career? My relationship? My voice cracked on the last word. Diego still wasn't answering my calls. Ezekiel leaned forward. You need to beat them at their own game. Set a trap. What kind of trap? Feed Ava false information, something significant that would only come from you, then wait to see where it goes. It was so simple it might actually work. I felt the first flicker of hope since this nightmare began. I need to think about this, I said, standing up. Thank you, Ezekiel. He nodded once, already turning back to his phone. Be careful who you trust, Mackenzie. Outside, I checked my messages. 3 missed calls from Ava. Nothing from Diego. I walked aimlessly for a while, trying to process this new betrayal. Ava, who'd held my hair back when I got food poisoning at the company retreat. Ava, who'd helped me pick out the dress for my first date with Diego. Ava, who'd apparently been sabotaging me all along. My phone rang again. Ava. This time, I answered. Where are you? She asked. I've been worried sick. The concern in her voice sounded so genuine it made my stomach turn. Just needed some air, I said, keeping my tone neutral. It's been a rough morning. I bet. Everyone's talking about your meeting with Flynn. She paused. Did he fire you? Was that hope I heard in her voice? No, paid leave while they investigate. I took a deep breath. Actually, can you meet me after work? I need to talk to you about something important. Of course. Anything you need. There's this new project Flynn mentioned before. Everything happened. Something big with the Singapore office. The lie came surprisingly easily. I think it might be my way back in. Singapore? He never mentioned that in the executive briefings. It's still confidential. I'll tell you more tonight. I ended the call and leaned against a building, suddenly exhausted. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait. My phone buzzed with a text from Diego. I'm coming by to get more of my things. Will you be home later? No. How are you? No, let's talk. Just logistics for our unraveling life. I typed back, yes. Please let me explain everything. His response came quickly. There's nothing to explain. London showed me more messages today. Things you couldn't possibly know unless you were involved with Flynn. London again. Always London. Something clicked in my mind. I'd only met London twice at company events, but both times she'd been glued to Freya's side. They were supposedly old friends, but what if there was more to it? What if London wasn't just Freya's messenger, but her partner in this setup? I pulled up London's Instagram profile, scrolling through months of posts. There, a photo from 6 months ago. London and Freya at a tech conference, arms around each other. The caption, working with my favorite person, your power couple, Sarah, behind the scenes. Working together? Freya didn't work. She was a socialite, a charity board member. Unless this was her work. Unless destroying me was just their latest project. I took a screenshot and sent it to Ezekiel with a question. What if they've done this before? His response was immediate. Already looking into it. Meet tomorrow, same place. I think you're on to something. For the first time since seeing that dating profile, I felt a surge of something other than despair. Something that felt dangerously like the desire for revenge. Diego was already packing when I got home. The sight of his suitcase open on our bed, the bed we'd picked out together at that overpriced furniture store, arguing playfully about firm versus soft mattresses, made my chest ache. "You're really leaving," I said from the doorway. He didn't look up. "I told you I was coming for my things." "Diego, please, just listen to me for 5 minutes." His hand stilled on a folded sweater. "What's left to say? I've seen the messages, Mackenzie. I've seen the pictures." "Pictures?" My blood went cold. "What pictures?" He finally looked at me, his expression a mixture of hurt and disgust. "Don't pretend you don't know. London showed me everything." "London is lying. She and Freya are setting me up." I stepped into the room. Think about it. Why would this woman you've met maybe twice suddenly contact you with all this evidence? Doesn't that seem suspicious? Diego ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my heart hurt. "You know what seems suspicious? You working late every night for months. You being secretive about your meetings with Flynn. You deleting texts when I walk into the room. What? I've never deleted texts around you." "I've seen you do it, Mackenzie. Multiple times." I racked my brain, trying to understand what he'd seen. Then it hit me. The texts from my mother about her health issues, the ones I didn't want to worry him with. I'd been deleting those because they stressed me out, not because I was hiding an affair. "That wasn't—" I started, but Diego cut me off. "Save it. I'm done with the lies." He zipped the suitcase closed with finality. "I just need to know one thing. Was it worth it? Throwing away 3 years for a promotion?" The injustice of it burned in my throat. "I didn't throw away anything. I'm being framed, and you're too stubborn to even consider that possibility." "Right. Everyone's conspiring against you." He lifted the suitcase off the bed. "Your boss's wife, her friend, probably the whole office. Everyone except Perfect Mackenzie." "Not everyone," I said quietly. "Just Freya, London, and apparently Ava." Something in my tone must have gotten through to him because he paused at the door. "Ava? Your friend Ava? She's been feeding them information about me. Private things I told her in confidence." Saying it out loud made it real in a way that hurt all over again. Diego's expression softened slightly. "How do you know that?" "Ezekiel from accounting showed me emails. She's after the same promotion I am." He set the suitcase down, conflict visible on his face. "That doesn't explain the pictures, Mac." "What pictures, Diego? Please, just show me." After a moment's hesitation, he pulled out his phone and opened his messages. "London sent these yesterday." I took the phone, my hands trembling. The first image showed me entering what looked like a hotel, Flynn's hand on the small of my back. The second showed us in what appeared to be a restaurant, leaning close in conversation. "These are from the executive retreat in Chicago 2 months ago," I said, relief washing over me. "The whole team was there. That hotel is the conference center where we had meetings all day. And this restaurant? It was a team dinner. Ava was sitting right across from us." I scrolled to the third photo and froze. It showed Flynn and me embracing in what looked like an intimate moment. "This isn't what it looks like," I said quickly. This was when Flynn told me my presentation had secured the Harrison account. It was a congratulatory hug, nothing more. Diego took the phone back, his expression unreadable. "Maybe. Or maybe that's just how you've justified it to yourself." "What does that mean?" "It means maybe you didn't physically cheat, but emotionally. The way you talk about Flynn, the way your face lights up when he calls or texts. That's not normal for just a boss, Mackenzie." His words hit me like a slap. Had I been too invested in Flynn's approval? Had my ambition blinded me to how it looked to others? To Diego? "I admire him professionally," I said carefully. "That's all it's ever been." Diego picked up his suitcase again. "I need time to think. I'm staying at Jason's for a while." "Will you at least consider that I'm telling the truth about being set up?" He paused at the door. "I'll look into London. See if anything about her story doesn't add up. It wasn't forgiveness or even belief, but it was something. Thank you. After he left, I sat on the edge of our bed, emotionally drained but more determined than ever. I pulled out my laptop and started searching for anything I could find on London Gibson. My phone buzzed with a text from Ava. Still meeting tonight? I'm worried about you. I typed back, yes, 7 p.m. at Riverside Bar. Her response came quickly. Perfect. We'll figure this out together, I promise. I set my phone down, a bitter taste in my mouth. My best friend, my boyfriend, my career. They'd taken almost everything from me. Almost. 2 hours of digging later, I had something. London Gibson had worked at 3 different companies in the past 5 years. At each one, a female employee had been fired for inappropriate conduct with a superior. Conduct documented through dating apps and private messages. I was calling Ezekiel when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, and for a moment I hoped it might be Diego coming back. Instead, I found Flynn standing in my hallway looking uncomfortable. Can I come in? He asked. There's something you need to know. I stepped aside wordlessly, my heart pounding. Flynn had never been to my apartment before. He declined my offer of a drink and got straight to the point. HR completed their initial review of the messages allegedly sent from your accounts. And? I held my breath. The technical team confirmed they were sent from an IP address matching your home network. The room seemed to tilt. That's impossible. I never sent those messages. Flynn's expression was grave. The evidence suggests otherwise, Mackenzie. Unless someone else has been using your home internet. A cold realization washed over me. Someone else had been in my apartment. Someone with access. Diego, I whispered. Diego has been here every night. Flynn raised an eyebrow. You think your boyfriend is framing you for having an affair with me? Why would he do that? Not Diego, I said, my mind racing. Someone else. Someone who's been here when I wasn't. I thought about all the times Ava had stopped by to water my plants when Diego and I were out of town. How she had a spare key for emergencies. How she wanted my promotion. Flynn was watching me closely. The board is meeting tomorrow to discuss next steps. If you have any evidence that someone else is behind this, now's the time. Tomorrow? I echoed. That's not enough time. It's all I could get you. He moved toward the door, then hesitated. For what it's worth, I want to believe you, Mackenzie. After he left, I checked the time. 6:30 p.m. 30 minutes until I was supposed to meet Ava. I texted Ezekiel. Need to move faster. They're using my home network to frame me. Board meeting tomorrow. His response was immediate. Don't confront Ava yet. We need more proof. I'm working on something big. But I was done waiting. Done being reactive. If Ava wanted to play games, I'd show her I could play too. I grabbed my keys and headed out, a new plan forming. Tonight, I'd get my so-called friend to reveal her true colors, and I'd make sure I had proof when she did. Riverside Bar hummed with after-work energy, clinking glasses, bursts of laughter, the low murmur of conversations meant to stay private. I arrived early and chose a corner table with my back to the wall, where I could see the entrance. The server brought me a gin and tonic I had no intention of drinking. I placed my phone face up on the table, the voice recorder app running. Not admissible in court, maybe, but enough to convince Flynn and HR of the truth. Ava arrived at 7:05, scanning the room with a concerned expression that looked so genuine it made my stomach turn. 3 years of friendship, and I'd never once suspected she was capable of this level of betrayal. There you are, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. God, you look terrible. Thanks, I said dryly. It's been a rough couple of days. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I can't believe they put you on leave. The whole office is talking about it. I bet they are, I thought, but kept my expression neutral. Flynn came to my apartment today. Apparently, the messages to him came from my home network. Ava's eyes widened. That's impossible. Unless... She hesitated. Unless what? Unless someone has been using your Wi-Fi? A neighbor, maybe? I took a calculated risk. Or someone with a key to my apartment. Something flickered across her face. Alarm, quickly masked. Who has keys besides you and Diego? Just you, I said, watching her carefully. For plant watering emergencies, remember? She laughed, but it sounded forced. Are you seriously suggesting I snuck into your apartment to send dirty messages to Flynn from your network? That's insane, Mac. Is it? Because someone did exactly that. Ava took a long sip of her drink, her eyes never leaving mine. Look, I know you're desperate for an explanation, but this conspiracy theory is a stretch. Even for you. Even for me? I repeated. What does that mean? She sighed, setting down her glass. It means you've always had a flair for drama. Remember when you thought the creative team was stealing your ideas? Or when you were convinced Flynn was going to fire you for that typo in the quarterly report? That's different. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're creating elaborate explanations instead of facing facts. What facts? I leaned forward. The fact that someone created a fake dating profile with my pictures? The fact that someone sent messages from my home network when I wasn't home? The fact that you've been obsessed with Flynn since he started mentoring you, she countered. The fact that you talk about him constantly, cancel plans to work late with him, light up like a Christmas tree whenever he texts you. Her words echoed Diego's so closely it felt rehearsed. Had they been talking behind my back? I'm ambitious, I said carefully. That doesn't mean I'm sleeping with my boss. No one's saying you are, but maybe there's a line between ambition and obsession that you've been blurring. I took a deep breath, reminding myself of the plan. I needed her to incriminate herself, not derail me with psychological warfare. You know what? Maybe you're right. I slumped slightly, letting defeat creep into my voice. Maybe I have been too focused on impressing Flynn. Ava's posture relaxed, sensing victory. It happens, especially with mentor relationships. The Singapore project was going to be my big break, I continued, laying the bait. Flynn said it could fast-track me to the executive team. Interest flashed in her eyes. You mentioned that earlier. What exactly is this project? A new regional headquarters. Flynn wants someone to relocate there for 6 months to get it running. He was considering me before all this. 6 months in Singapore? Ava leaned forward. That's a huge opportunity. It would have been. I sighed dramatically. Now it'll probably go to someone else. Did Flynn mention any other candidates? And there it was. The real Ava, hungry for advantage, calculating her next move. He mentioned a short list. I don't remember everyone on it. Was I on it? She asked, trying to sound casual and failing miserably. I hesitated just long enough to make her squirm. I think so, near the bottom. Her smile tightened. Well, maybe things happen for a reason. Maybe this is the universe course-correcting. What's that supposed to mean? Just that maybe the position should go to someone who's earned it through hard work, not through other means. The implication hung in the air between us. I felt a surge of anger so intense my vision blurred at the edges. You think I slept my way to the top of that list? Ava shrugged. I'm just saying the evidence doesn't look good. Those messages, the dating profile, the late nights, where there's smoke. There's a fire, I finished. Or someone with a match. Her expression hardened. Careful, Mackenzie. Accusations like that can damage relationships. Permanently. Is that a threat? It's advice, from a friend who cares about you. She glanced at her watch. I should go. Early meeting tomorrow. With the board, I thought. About me. One more thing, I said as she gathered her purse. How well do you know London? Ava froze for a split second, just long enough to confirm my suspicions. Flynn's wife's friend? I've met her a few times at company events. Why? Just curious. She seems to be at the center of all this, sending screenshots to Diego, to you, to Freya. Maybe she's just being a good friend to Freya. Ava stood up. Get some rest, Mac. You look like you need it. As she walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from Ezekiel. Don't go home. Your apartment isn't secure. Meet me at the office now. Bringing London's laptop. You need to see this. I stared at the message, adrenaline surging through me. How had Ezekiel gotten London's laptop? And what had he found? I threw cash on the table and headed for the door, only to stop short at the sight of Ava outside, huddled in intense conversation with someone in a parked car. London. I ducked back inside and exited through the kitchen, heart pounding. Whatever game they were playing, it was bigger and more coordinated than I'd imagined. And tomorrow, the board would decide my fate based on evidence planted by people I'd trusted, unless I could stop them tonight. The office building was eerily quiet after hours, emergency lights casting long shadows across the lobby. The security guard nodded as I badged in. He knew me from all my late nights. If only those extra hours had bought me some loyalty when it mattered. I took the elevator to our floor, my reflection in the polished doors looking haggard and unfamiliar. When had I last slept properly? Eaten something that wasn't coffee or anxiety? Ezekiel was waiting in the conference room, his laptop open, a sleek MacBook beside it that I assumed was London's. How did you get her computer? I asked without preamble. She left it in her car. I borrowed it. His expression remained neutral, as if breaking into cars was a normal Tuesday activity. You stole it? I'm returning it tomorrow, but first... He turned the screen toward me. You need to see what they've been doing. The screen showed a folder labeled Projects, containing subfolders with women's names. My stomach dropped when I saw my own name among them. What is this? Evidence. Ezekiel opened my folder. Inside were all the fake dating profile screenshots, the manufactured conversations with Flynn, photos of me from social media, and a document titled MackenziePlan.docx. My hands shook as I opened it. The document outlined a detailed strategy for discrediting me professionally and personally, with a timeline stretching back 3 months. Every move had been calculated. When to plant seeds of doubt with Diego, when to approach Flynn with concerns, when to escalate to HR. I couldn't find words strong enough. Premeditated character assassination, Ezekiel supplied. And you're not the first. He clicked back to the main folder and opened another name. Vanessa. Similar contents. Different woman. Then Julia. Then Rebecca. 5 women in total, he said quietly. All rising stars in their companies. All accused of inappropriate relationships with male superiors. All discredited and fired. But why? What did they get out of this? Ezekiel pulled up a spreadsheet. Money. After each woman is removed, London's consulting firm is hired to repair the company culture and implement anti-harassment training. 6-figure contracts every time. And Freya? Silent partner. She provides access to high-level executives through her social connections. They split the profits. What about Ava? Promised the promotion you were in line for, plus a finder's fee for identifying you as a target. The betrayal burned fresh. I'd helped Ava practice for her interviews, celebrated her successes, held her hand through breakups. And all along, she'd been plotting my downfall. We need to take this to Flynn, I said, reaching for my phone. Ezekiel caught my wrist. Think, Mackenzie. Flynn's married to Freya. Who do you think he'll believe? He'll believe evidence, hard proof. Stolen evidence that would be inadmissible in any legal proceeding? That we obtained by breaking into someone's car? He was right, and I knew it. We couldn't use this directly without implicating ourselves. Then what's the point of showing me? I asked, frustration building. Why bring me here if we can't use any of this? Because now you know what you're up against. And he turned back to his own laptop. Because I found something else. Something we can use. He showed me an email chain between London and a woman named Vanessa, one of their previous targets. Vanessa recorded a conversation with London last year, threatening to expose their scheme. London paid her off. $200,000 to stay quiet and sign an NDA. So, Vanessa knows everything? Can we contact her? Already did. Ezekiel looked almost proud. She's willing to talk, but only in person. She's scared of legal repercussions from breaking the NDA. Hope flickered, then faltered. The board meets tomorrow morning. There's no time to wait. She lives in Boston. If we leave now, we can drive there, meet her at 6 a.m. and be back for your 10 a.m. board meeting. We? I echoed. I'm already involved. He shrugged. Might as well see it through. I studied him, this quiet man from accounting who'd put himself at risk for someone he barely knew. Why are you helping me, really? Something shifted in his expression, a crack in his usual composure. I told you about my sister. What I didn't tell you is that she killed herself 6 months after being fired. The shame, the isolation, it was too much. The weight of his words hung between us. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Be smart and be ready to fight. He closed both laptops. We should go now if we want to make it to Boston by morning. As we headed toward the elevator, my phone buzzed with a text from Diego. We need to talk. Where are you? I hesitated, then typed, Can't talk now. Something important came up. I'll explain everything tomorrow. His response was immediate. There might not be a tomorrow for us if you keep avoiding this conversation. The words stung, but I didn't have time for emotional negotiations. Not when my entire future hung in the balance. I'm fighting for the truth, Diego. Either trust me on that, or don't. I turned my phone to silent as we reached the parking garage. Ezekiel's car was small and meticulously clean, just like him. Ready? He asked, keys in hand. I nodded, pushing thoughts of Diego aside. Let's go get our witness. As we pulled out of the garage, I spotted a familiar car parked across the street, Ava's red Prius. She was watching the building, probably waiting to see if I'd show up after our meeting. Duck down, I told Ezekiel. We're being watched. He complied without question, accelerating past her car before she could spot us. She'll know we were here, I said once we were clear. Security keeps logs of who badges in after hours. Then we better make this trip count, Ezekiel replied grimly. Because tomorrow it's all or nothing. I leaned back against the headrest, exhaustion warring with determination. 4 hours to Boston, 2 hours with Vanessa, 4 hours back. Then the board meeting that would either salvage my career or end it permanently. No pressure. The boardroom felt like a courtroom as I walked in. 12 pairs of eyes tracking my entrance, expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. Flynn sat at the head of the table, Freya beside him, her hand resting possessively on his arm. Ava was there too, seated among the executives like she belonged. I was 10 minutes early, but they were all already waiting. An ambush then. Mackenzie, Flynn said, his voice carefully neutral. Thank you for joining us. I took the only empty seat directly across from Freya. Her smile was razor-thin, victorious. She thought this was over. Before we begin, Flynn continued, I want to clarify that this is not a formal disciplinary hearing. We're here to discuss the situation and determine next steps. Translation. We've already decided you're guilty. We're just debating the punishment. I appreciate that, I said, keeping my voice steady. And I appreciate the opportunity to present my side. Freya's smile faltered slightly. She hadn't expected composure. She'd expected desperation. Flynn nodded to HR Director Janet, who cleared her throat. We have evidence of inappropriate communications between you and Flynn spanning approximately 3 months. These communications violate company policy regarding workplace relationships, particularly between managers and direct reports. I understand the seriousness of these allegations, I said, but I did not send those messages. I did not create that dating profile. I am being framed. A ripple of uncomfortable glances around the table. No one wanted to hear this. That's a serious accusation, Janet said. Do you have evidence to support it? I opened my bag and removed a sealed envelope. I do. The drive to Boston had been a blur of caffeine and anxiety, but Vanessa had been everything we'd hoped for. articulate, credible, and furious at what had been done to her. She'd provided a sworn statement detailing London and Freya's scheme, along with copies of bank statements showing the hush money payment. "What I have here is testimony from another victim of this same scam," I said, sliding the envelope toward Janet. "Vanessa Morris was systematically discredited and fired from Apex Solutions last year, using the exact same playbook being used against me." Janet opened the envelope, scanning the contents with increasing alarm. Flynn leaned forward, his expression unreadable. "This is a serious allegation," he repeated, reaching for the documents. "It gets worse," I said, my heart pounding but my voice steady. "The people behind this scam are London Gibson and—" I met Freya's eyes directly. "Your wife." The room went silent. Freya's face drained of color, then flushed with anger. "This is absurd," she snapped. "Flynn, are you going to allow this?" Flynn was reading Vanessa's statement, his expression darkening with each page. "These are very specific allegations, Freya. Bank transfers, meeting dates, recorded conversations. Fabricated, obviously," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "This woman is desperate to save her job." "I'm desperate for the truth," I corrected, "and I'm not the only one they've targeted." I nodded to the door, where Ezekiel stood with his laptop. He entered silently, placing it on the table. "This presentation contains evidence of 5 similar cases," he explained, opening a slideshow. 5 women, 5 companies, 5 identical scenarios. Each time, the woman is fired for inappropriate conduct. Each time, London's consulting firm is hired afterward for cultural remediation. Each time, they profit. The board members leaned forward, watching as Ezekiel methodically laid out the pattern. Dates, companies, victims, payouts. The evidence was circumstantial but compelling in its consistency. Freya's composure cracked. "This is a witch hunt. You have no proof I'm involved in any of this." "Actually," came a voice from the doorway. "She does." We all turned to see Diego standing there, holding his phone. My heart stuttered at the sight of him. "Diego?" Flynn frowned. "This is a closed meeting. I have something you need to hear." He approached the table, placing his phone in the center. "I recorded a conversation with London Gibson last night." He pressed play, and London's voice filled the room. Of course Mackenzie didn't really sleep with Flynn. That was never the point. The point was making everyone believe she did. Freya's brilliant that way. She knows perception is reality in corporate America. Freya stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "That's not— He's clearly edited that recording." Diego continued the playback. "Once Mackenzie's gone, we'll bring in our team to fix the toxic culture. Standard 6-figure contract, maybe more if we play up the scandal angle. Freya gets her cut, I get mine, and Little Miss Perfect gets what she deserves for trying to outshine everyone." The recording ended. Freya looked like she might be sick. "I didn't believe Mackenzie at first," Diego said, looking at me with regret in his eyes. But something about London's eagerness to show me evidence felt off. So I met with her last night, pretending I wanted more information, and I recorded everything. Flynn stood slowly, his expression thunderous as he turned to his wife. "Is this true?" Freya's eyes darted around the room, seeking an ally and finding none. Even Ava had shrunk in her seat, suddenly fascinated by her hands. "It was just business," Freya said finally, her voice cold. "Nothing personal." "It was extremely personal to me," I said, my voice shaking with emotion for the first time. "You tried to destroy my career, my relationship, my reputation. For money." Flynn turned to Janet. "I want security to escort my wife and Ms. Gibson from the building, and call legal immediately." Freya laughed, a brittle sound. "You can't be serious. Flynn, it's me, your wife." "Not for much longer," he said quietly. As security arrived to escort Freya out, she paused beside me. "You think you've won? This isn't over." I met her gaze steadily. "For you, it is." The room erupted in conversation as she left. Executives processing the implications, HR scrambling to contain the damage. Flynn approached me, his expression grave. "Mackenzie, I owe you an apology." A significant one. Yes, you do, I agreed, standing to meet his eyes. But right now I need some air. I walked out, past the stunned executives, past a shell-shocked Ava, into the hallway where Diego waited. For a moment, we just looked at each other, all the hurt and confusion of the past days hanging between us. You recorded her? I said finally. I should have believed you from the start. His voice was rough with emotion. I'm sorry, Mac. I wasn't ready to forgive, not completely, but it was a start. Thank you for being here today. He reached for my hand, hesitantly. Where else would I be? Behind us, the boardroom door opened again as Ezekiel emerged, giving us a small nod of acknowledgement before heading back to his quiet corner of accounting. The storm had passed. The truth was out. And for the first time in days, I could breathe again.
I thought I had everything. The kind of everything you post about on social media, knowing your friends will hate you a little for it. Successful business, gorgeous husband, that house with the kitchen island everyone covets. I believed it too, until exactly 9:17 p.m. on our 5th wedding anniversary. You need to see this, Lily whispered, her fingers digging into my forearm as she pulled me away from my own party. The concern in her eyes made my stomach drop before I even knew why. I followed her through the crowd of well-wishers filling our open-concept living room, champagne sloshing in my glass. Todd had gone all out for our anniversary. Caterers, a small jazz quartet, flowers everywhere. He'd even made a toast that had me blinking back tears 10 minutes earlier. Can't this wait? I asked, forcing a smile at Clayton as we squeezed past. We're about to cut the cake. Lily didn't answer, just pulled me into Todd's home office and shut the door. The music became a dull thrum through the walls. I wasn't snooping, she started, which is exactly what people say when they found something while snooping. I came in here looking for more napkins where you said they'd be, in the credenza. And? My voice sounded normal. Everything was still normal. I found this instead. She held out her phone, open to a banking app. Todd left his laptop open. This was on the screen. I squinted at the numbers, trying to make sense of them. I don't understand. It's a transfer, Heidi, from your business account to some offshore thing. $500,000. The room tilted slightly. That's impossible. I'd know if that kind of money. There are dozens of transfers. Small enough to fly under the radar, I'm guessing. Going back months. I snatched the phone, scrolling through the transaction history. My throat closed up as the evidence mounted. All those nights Todd had helped with the bookkeeping. All those times he'd assured me everything was fine when I worried about cash flow. There's more, Lily said, her voice gentler now. I took screenshots. She swiped to another image, an email thread between Todd and someone named Daisy Ford. My Daisy, my head of sales. The wife doesn't suspect anything. 2 more months and we'll have enough to make the move. What about the business? Daisy had replied. She'll be too busy dealing with the audit to notice we're gone. Audit? What audit? I'm sorry, Lily whispered. I didn't know how to tell you. The glass slipped from my fingers, red wine spreading across the beige carpet like blood. 5 years of marriage, 8 years together. And all this time, Heidi, Todd's voice called from the hallway. Babe, where'd you go? Everyone's waiting. I looked up at Lily, panic rising in my chest. What do I do? Don't let him know that you know, she said quickly. Not yet. Not until we figure out how much he's taken and what this audit thing is about. The doorknob turned. I kicked the wine glass under the desk and wiped my eyes. Todd appeared, handsome in his tailored suit, that smile I'd fallen for lighting up his face. There you are. What are you two hiding in here for? Girl talk, Lily said smoothly. I was just telling Heidi about this guy I met. I forced myself to smile, to step forward and slip my arm through his like I'd done thousands of times before. His body felt suddenly unfamiliar against mine. Sorry, honey. You know how Lily gets when she's crushing on someone. Was my voice steady? Could he tell? I studied his face for any sign that he knew I'd discovered his betrayal, but saw only the same Todd I'd always known. That was the most terrifying part. Well, crush later. Everyone's waiting for the anniversary cake cutting. He kissed my temple, and I suppressed a shudder. 5 amazing years, right? 5 years of lies. 5 years of him systematically stealing from me while I worked myself to exhaustion building my company. Right, I echoed, letting him lead me back toward the party, Lily following close behind. As we emerged into the living room, our friends erupted in applause. Todd raised our joined hands triumphantly, playing the role of devoted husband to perfection. The knife waited beside our anniversary cake, 3 tiers of white chocolate and raspberry that I'd specially ordered from his favorite bakery. I looked at the knife, then at Todd's smiling face, then back at the knife. "Speech," someone called out. Todd squeezed my hand, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. "Want me to do it, or you?" I reached for the knife, wrapping my fingers around the handle. "Oh, no," I said, meeting his eyes. "I think it's my turn to cut something." I somehow made it through the rest of the party, smiled for photos, thanked guests for coming, kissed Todd on cue when everyone clinked their glasses. My face ached from the performance. "You okay?" Todd asked as we waved goodbye to the last guests around midnight. "You seem off." I forced another smile. "Just tired. It was a lot to take in." "I know what you mean." He wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. 5 years. Sometimes I can't believe how lucky I am. The audacity. I wanted to scream, to confront him right there, but Lily's warning echoed in my head. "Don't let him know until you understand what you're dealing with." "I'm going to clean up," I said, pulling away. "Leave it for tomorrow. The cleaning service is coming anyway." He tugged at my hand. "Come to bed." The thought of lying next to him made my skin crawl. "I just need a few minutes to decompress. I'll be up soon." Once he disappeared upstairs, I collapsed onto the couch, my body finally giving in to the trembling it had been suppressing all night. My phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Call me when you can. I'm worried about you." Instead of calling, I found myself moving through the house collecting evidence. I grabbed Todd's laptop from his office, along with the files he kept in his desk drawer. In the kitchen, I poured myself a large glass of wine and spread everything across the island counter. The laptop was password protected. Of course, I tried our anniversary date, his birthday, my birthday. Nothing worked. After the 5th attempt, I stopped, afraid of triggering a lockout. I turned to the files instead. Most contained ordinary household documents, insurance policies, car maintenance records, warranties. Nothing suspicious. But in a folder labeled Tax Prep, I found something odd. A second set of financial statements for my company with numbers that didn't match the ones I reviewed monthly. The doorbell rang, startling me so badly I knocked over my wine glass. Who would be coming by at 1 a.m.? I peered through the peephole to see Lily standing on my porch, hugging herself against the night chill. "I couldn't sleep," she said when I opened the door. "I kept thinking about your face when you saw those transfers." I pulled her inside quickly. "Todd's upstairs. He thinks I'm cleaning up." "Has he said anything?" "Nothing. He's acting completely normal." I led her to the kitchen, showing her the documents I'd found. "Look at this. These aren't the real numbers for my company." Lily studied the papers, her brow furrowed. "It looks like he's been keeping 2 sets of books. One for you, one for something else." "The audit," I whispered. "He mentioned an audit in those emails. What if he's setting me up to take a fall for tax fraud?" The realization hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't just about stealing money. He was creating a paper trail that would implicate me. "Heidi," Todd's voice called from upstairs. "Who are you talking to?" Lily and I froze, staring at each other in panic. "It's just Lily," I called back, quickly gathering the papers. She forgot her phone. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. I shoved the documents into Lily's purse just as Todd appeared in the kitchen doorway, wearing only his pajama bottoms. "Hey, Lily," he said, seeming genuinely surprised. "Everything okay?" "Sorry to drop by so late," she replied smoothly. Left my phone somewhere in the chaos. Heidi found it for me. I held up her phone as evidence. She'd actually left it on purpose, anticipating this might happen. Todd yawned. No problem. Heidi, are you coming to bed soon? In a minute. After he retreated upstairs, Lily gripped my hands. You need help, professional help. What, like therapy? I almost laughed. No, like someone who knows how to handle financial fraud. I have a friend, Warren. He's a private investigator who specializes in this kind of thing. A private investigator? Isn't that a bit extreme? Lily's expression hardened. He's stealing your money and setting you up to take the blame for his crimes. How much more extreme does it need to get? She was right. The Todd I thought I knew, the man who supported my dreams, who celebrated my success, was a fiction. The real Todd was systematically destroying everything I'd built. Okay, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. Set up a meeting. After Lily left, I stood in our kitchen, surrounded by the remnants of our anniversary celebration. 5 years of what I thought was love, reduced to a criminal conspiracy. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step requiring deliberate effort. Todd was already asleep, his breathing deep and even. I slipped into bed beside him, keeping to the edge of the mattress. Tomorrow I'd meet with Warren. Tomorrow I'd begin to understand the full scope of Todd's betrayal. Tomorrow I'd start planning how to save myself. But tonight, I lay awake beside the stranger I'd married, plotting my first move in a game I never wanted to play. I met Warren at a coffee shop 15 miles from my house, far enough that I wouldn't run into anyone I knew. He didn't look like a private investigator, no trench coat, no world-weary expression, just a middle-aged man in a sensible blazer with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Lily filled me in on the basics, he said after we'd settled at a corner table. But I need to hear everything from you. I'd barely slept, spending the night rehearsing what to say to Todd in the morning. I'd settled on a half-truth, a supplier emergency requiring my immediate attention. He'd kissed me goodbye without a hint of suspicion. My husband is stealing from my company, I said, the words still feeling surreal. And I think he's setting me up to take the blame for tax fraud. Warren didn't react with shock or pity. He simply nodded and took out a small notebook. Walk me through what you found so far. I showed him the screenshots Lily had taken, described the falsified financial statements, explained the references to an audit. With each detail, the knot in my stomach tightened. How much do you think he's taken? Warren asked. I don't know exactly. The transfers Lily found total around $500,000, but there could be more. Warren whistled softly. And your company, how's it doing financially? We're profitable, growing steadily. I twisted my wedding ring, a nervous habit I suddenly couldn't stand. I slipped it off and dropped it into my purse. At least I thought we were. Who handles your accounting? I have a bookkeeper, Esme. She's young but brilliant. Todd. He reviews everything before it goes to our accountant. My voice caught. I trusted him. Warren's expression softened. That's not your fault, Heidi. People like your husband count on that trust. People like my husband, I repeated. The phrase felt like a slap. What do we do now? First, we need to understand the full extent of what he's done. I'll need access to your business records, bank statements, tax filings, everything. My phone buzzed with a text from Daisy. Need to discuss Q3 projections. Lunch today? Daisy, Todd's accomplice, my supposed friend and colleague. I showed Warren the message. She's working with him. I saw the emails. This could be an opportunity, Warren said, leaning forward. Meet with her. Act normal. See what information you can get. You want me to spy on her? I want you to protect yourself. Right now, information is your best defense. I agreed to meet Daisy at 1 p.m., then spent the next hour giving Warren every password, account number, and business detail I could remember. By the time we finished, I felt hollowed out. One more thing, Warren said as we prepared to leave. Don't confront Todd yet. People get desperate when cornered, and desperate people make dangerous choices. The warning sent a chill through me. I'd known Todd for 8 years, married him, built a life with him. Was Warren suggesting he might hurt me? I need to get to my office, I said, suddenly needing to be somewhere familiar, somewhere that still felt like mine. The fashion design studio that served as headquarters for my company had always been my sanctuary. Today, it felt like enemy territory. Who else was involved in Todd's scheme? Who could I trust? Esme looked up from her computer as I entered. "Morning, Heidi. I wasn't expecting you today." Esme had joined the company 3 years ago as an intern and quickly proved herself indispensable. At 28, she managed our books with meticulous attention to detail. If the numbers were being manipulated, wouldn't she have noticed? "Just catching up on some things," I said, trying to sound casual. "How are the new collection numbers looking?" "Strong. The fall line is already generating pre-orders." She hesitated. "Actually, I've been meaning to talk to you about something." My guard immediately went up. "What is it?" "Some of the financial reports seem off. Nothing major, just discrepancies I can't reconcile." She lowered her voice. "I tried mentioning it to Todd last week when he came by, but he said not to worry about it." My heart raced. Todd was here. He doesn't usually visit the office. He said he was surprising you with lunch, but you were in a meeting. He asked to use your computer to check some numbers. Esme looked uncomfortable. "I should have told you sooner." I fought to keep my expression neutral. "It's fine." "What kind of discrepancies did you notice?" "Expense allocations that don't match our actual spending. Vendor payments to companies I can't verify." She pulled up a spreadsheet. "Like this one, 3 payments to Meridian Consulting. I can't find any record of services they provided." Meridian Consulting. The name meant nothing to me, but the payments totaled $75,000. "Thank you for showing me this," I said, my mind racing. "Let's keep this between us for now, okay? I need to look into it further." Esme nodded, relief visible on her face. I was worried I was overstepping. Never. This is exactly what I need to know. As I headed to my office, my phone buzzed with another text, from Todd this time. "Hope your day's going better. Dinner tonight? I have news to share." News. What news could he possibly have that wasn't another lie? I texted back, "Looking forward to it." The ease with which I could now lie to him surprised me, but then I'd had an excellent teacher. Lunch with Daisy felt like the strangest performance of my life. We sat at our usual spot, a bistro 2 blocks from the office, while I pretended I didn't know she was helping my husband steal from me. "The anniversary party looked amazing," Daisy said, spreading her napkin across her lap. "Todd really outdid himself." I took a sip of water to steady myself. "He's full of surprises." "Speaking of surprises," she continued, "I've been running some numbers on the expansion plan. I think we should accelerate the timeline." The expansion plan had been my dream for years, opening 3 new boutiques in key markets. Todd had always encouraged it, but now I understood why. More locations meant more money flowing through the business, more opportunities to siphon funds. "I'm not sure that's wise," I said carefully. "The current economic climate is perfect," Daisy interrupted. "Interest rates are low, and our brand recognition has never been higher." She pulled out a folder. "I've already drafted a proposal for the board." I stared at her, this woman I'd trusted with my business secrets for years. How long had she been working against me? What was her angle? "That's very proactive of you," I managed. Todd thought so too. He's been incredibly helpful with the financial projections. Of course he had. I forced a smile. "You've been talking to Todd about this?" "Just getting his input. He has such a good head for business." She tilted her head. "Is that a problem?" "No, not at all. I just like to be kept in the loop." Daisy's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then quickly turned it face down. "Sorry about that." Was she texting Todd right now? Updating him on our conversation? The thought made me feel physically ill. "Actually," I said, seizing an opportunity, "I noticed some unusual payments to a company called Meridian Consulting. Do you know anything about that? The briefest flicker of something, alarm, guilt, crossed Daisy's face before her professional mask slipped back into place. Meridian, I believe they helped with market research for the expansion. Todd handled that contract. A lie. I'd run every market research project personally. Right, of course, I said. I must have forgotten. The rest of lunch passed in a blur of small talk and business discussions that now felt hollow. When we parted ways outside the restaurant, Daisy hugged me like always. We're going to do great things together, she said. I wondered if she meant her and me, or her and Todd. Back at the office, I shut my door and called Warren. Meridian Consulting, I said without preamble. I need to know everything about them. I'm already on it, Warren replied. Esme sent me the payment records this morning. I froze. Esme contacted you. How does she even have your number? I reached out to her after our meeting. You mentioned she handled the books, so I figured she'd be a valuable resource. You went behind my back? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. I'm trying to help you, Heidi. We need all the information we can get as quickly as possible. I pressed my fingers to my temples, feeling a headache forming. You should have asked me first. Would you have said yes? The question hung between us. Would I have, or would I have hesitated, worried about involving another person, expanding the circle of those who knew how thoroughly I'd been deceived? That's not the point, I said finally. The point is, Esme already suspected something was wrong. She's been documenting discrepancies for months. She's on your side. I thought about Esme's relief when I hadn't dismissed her concerns. Had she been carrying this burden alone, afraid to speak up? Fine, I conceded. What did you find out about Meridian? It's a shell company, registered 6 months ago to a P.O. box. No website, no employees, no actual consulting services. Let me guess, Todd's name is on the paperwork? No, it's registered to someone named Clayton Mitchell. Clayton. My stomach dropped. Clayton had been friends with Todd since college. He'd been at our wedding, at our anniversary party just days ago. I'd always liked him. That can't be right, I whispered. I'm sending you the documentation now. My email pinged. There it was, Clayton's name on the incorporation papers for a company that existed solely to funnel my money into someone else's pocket. There's something else, Warren continued. Esme found emails between Todd and Clayton discussing a property purchase, a beachfront villa in a non-extradition country. The room seemed to tilt. They're planning to run. It looks that way. And soon. I thought of Todd's text. I have news to share. Was tonight when he planned to spring some new lie on me, some story to explain why we suddenly needed to take a vacation to a country that wouldn't send him back to face charges. What do I do? I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. We accelerate our timeline. I've already spoken with a forensic accountant. She can start tomorrow if you authorize it. Do it, I said without hesitation. And tonight, with Todd. I'll play along. Make him think everything's normal. After hanging up, I sat at my desk, staring at the framed photo of Todd and me from our honeymoon. We looked so happy, so in love. Had it all been an act? Or had he loved me once, before greed took over? I removed the photo from its frame and tore it in half, separating his image from mine. It felt childish, but also necessary, a physical representation of what was happening to my life. My phone buzzed with a text from Todd. Made reservations at Luciano's for 7. Wear that blue dress I love, giving me instructions, always controlling the narrative. I texted back, perfect, can't wait to hear your news. This time, the lie came easily. The blue dress hung on the back of my office door, like a costume for a role I no longer wanted to play. Todd's favorite. Fitted, low cut, the color he said made my eyes pop. I'd worn it countless times to please him. Tonight, it felt like armor. I applied makeup carefully, covering the shadows under my eyes, evidence of sleepless nights. My phone buzzed with a text from Lily. You don't have to do this. stay with me tonight instead. But I did have to do this. I needed to know what Todd was planning. Luciano's was where we'd had our first date. The hostess greeted me by name, leading me to our table by the window. Todd was already there, standing when he saw me approach. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing my cheek. I smiled, wondering if he could feel how rigid my body had become at his touch. "Thanks for arranging this. It's been a while since we've had a date night." "Too long." He pulled out my chair. "I ordered that Barolo you love." The wine arrived, deep red and expensive. I sipped slowly, needing to keep my wits about me. "So," I said, "you mentioned you had news?" Todd's face lit up with what looked like genuine excitement. "I've been working on something big. A surprise." My heart raced. Was this it? The lead-up to his escape plan? "I know how hard you've been working," he continued, "how much the business means to you, and I think I've found the perfect opportunity to take it to the next level." The waiter interrupted to take our order. Todd ordered for both of us without asking what I wanted, a habit I'd once found charming. "What kind of opportunity?" I asked when we were alone again. "An investor? Someone willing to put serious capital into your expansion plans?" He leaned forward. "We're talking 8 figures, Heidi, enough to open not just 3 new locations, but 10. I nearly choked on my wine. 10? That's not the plan. Plans change. This is huge. His eyes gleamed. I've been working on this deal for months. Didn't want to say anything until it was solid. Months. The same time frame as the mysterious transfers. Was this investor real, or just another fiction? "Who is this investor?" I asked. "His name is James Westfield. Made his fortune in tech, looking to diversify." Todd reached for my hand across the table. "He wants to meet you next week. I've already set everything up." A meeting that would never happen, because Todd would be gone by then, taking my money with him. "That's incredible," I managed. "How did you connect with him?" "Clayton introduced us. They go way back." Clayton again. The pieces were falling into place. "Speaking of Clayton," I said carefully, "I ran into him today. He mentioned something about a consulting company." Todd's expression didn't change, but his hand twitched slightly in mine. "Oh?" "Meridian Consulting. He said you might know something about it." A beat of silence. Todd withdrew his hand to reach for his wine glass. "They did some market analysis for us a while back. Small firm, but good work." The lie slid out so smoothly. Had he always been this good at deception, or had I just never noticed? "Funny, I don't remember approving that contract. It was during that crazy period when you were finalizing the spring collection. I handled it so you wouldn't have to worry." He smiled. "That's what partners do, right? Share the load." The food arrived. Seafood risotto for him, salmon for me. I pushed mine around the plate, stomach too knotted to eat. "You're quiet tonight," Todd observed. "Everything okay?" I met his gaze. "Just thinking about the future. How quickly things can change." "Change is good, especially when it means growth." He reached across the table again, squeezing my hand. "Trust me, this investment is going to change our lives." At least he wasn't lying about that. "I do have one concern," I said. "The business is growing so fast. I worry about losing control." "That's natural, but you can't do everything yourself forever." His thumb stroked my wrist. "Sometimes you have to delegate, let others handle the details." Like the financial details he'd been handling for months. "You're right," I said, forcing a smile. "I need to learn to let go." Todd raised his glass. "To new beginnings." I clinked my glass against his, the sound sharp in my ears. "To getting what we deserve." I called Warren from my car after dinner, hands shaking so badly I could barely dial. "It's happening," I said when he answered. "The investor story, Clayton's involvement, it's all part of their exit strategy." "Did he mention when this supposed meeting is happening?" "Next week, but I don't think they're planning to stick around that long." I swallowed hard. There was something in his eyes tonight, Warren. A finality, like he was saying goodbye without actually saying it. Where are you now? Parking outside our house. Todd's meeting Clayton for drinks. Good. I need you to do something while he's gone. Warren's voice was steady, grounding. Check his office again. Look for travel documents, confirmation emails, anything that might tell us when they're planning to leave. And if I find something, then we move now. Tonight. I ended the call and sat in the darkness, watching the house I'd once loved, the home we'd built together. Had any of it been real? My phone lit up with a text from Esme. Found something big. Need to talk ASAP. Whatever Todd was planning, it was happening fast, and I was running out of time to stop him. I met Esme at an all-night diner 30 minutes from my house, a place where neither Todd nor anyone else from our circles would accidentally spot us. She was already there when I arrived, hunched over her laptop, dark circles under her eyes. Thanks for coming, I said, sliding into the booth across from her. I wouldn't have texted if it wasn't important. She turned her laptop toward me. I've been digging through our cloud storage backups, found these emails that Todd deleted from the server. The screen showed an exchange between Todd and Daisy from just that morning. Everything's set for Friday. Tickets confirmed. Clayton has the documents ready. Friday, 2 days from now. What about H? Still suspicious, clueless as ever, too busy with her precious designs to notice what's happening right under her nose. By the time she figures it out, we'll be long gone. My hands curled into fists, clueless. The contempt in those words burned through me. There's more, Esme said quietly. Financial projections for the company after you're gone. They're planning to liquidate everything, Heidi. Sell off the inventory, the equipment, the intellectual property, even the building, my life's work, everything I'd built from nothing, reduced to numbers on a spreadsheet. How long have you known something was wrong? I asked. Esme looked down. I started noticing discrepancies about 4 months ago. Small things at first, expense reports that didn't match receipts, invoices for services we never received. I thought they were mistakes. Why didn't you come to me sooner? I tried in my way, but Todd always intercepted. Said you were too busy, that he'd handle it. She met my eyes. And then he offered me a promotion, more money, more responsibility. I think he was trying to buy my silence. Did it work? I took the promotion, she admitted, but I also started keeping records. I knew something wasn't right. The waitress came by with coffee. We fell silent until she left. What are you going to do? Esme asked. What could I do? In 2 days, Todd would be gone, along with my money and any chance of justice. I'm going to stop him, I said with more confidence than I felt. Todd was asleep when I got home, his breathing deep and even. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom, watching him. How many nights had I lain beside him, feeling safe, protected, loved? All while he plotted to destroy me. I slipped into his office, closing the door silently behind me. The room smelled of his cologne and the leather of his desk chair. I'd always loved this smell. Now it made me nauseous. I started with his desk drawers, then moved to the filing cabinet. Nothing unusual, no plane tickets, no incriminating documents. Todd was too smart for that. His laptop sat on the desk, closed. I opened it, heart pounding, still password protected. I tried a few more combinations, his parents' names, his childhood street, before remembering something. For his birthday last year, I'd given him a vintage watch. He'd been obsessed with it, even had the serial number engraved on the back. I typed in the number. The screen unlocked. For the next hour, I combed through his emails, documents, browser history. Most were innocuous, but in a folder labeled Investment Opportunities, I found what I was looking for. Confirmation of first-class tickets to Bali. One way. Departing Friday afternoon. Not just for Todd, but for Daisy too. My hands shook as I took photos of the screen with my phone. Not just business partners then. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd expected. I was about to close the laptop when a new email notification appeared. From Clayton, sent just minutes ago. Change of plans. Audit flags raised. Need to move timeline up. Details in mourning. Audit flags. Someone had noticed the financial irregularities. The authorities might already be involved. I quickly forwarded the email to myself, then closed the laptop exactly as I'd found it. As I turned to leave, the office door opened. Todd stood there, sleep-rumpled and confused. "Heidi, what are you doing in here?" My mind raced. Looking for aspirin. Couldn't sleep. "In my office? I didn't want to wake you by turning on the bathroom light." I moved toward the door. "Sorry, I'll look somewhere else." He blocked my path. "You were on my computer." "What? No, It's still warm." His voice hardened. "What were you looking for?" "Nothing. I told you. Stop lying." He grabbed my arm. "What do you know?" The mask had slipped. This wasn't the charming, supportive Todd I'd married. This was the real Todd. Cold, calculating, dangerous. "Let go of me," I said quietly. "Not until you tell me what you're doing." "I know about the money, Todd. The transfers. Meridian Consulting. All of it." His grip tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know about Daisy, the tickets to Bali, your plans to liquidate my company." Something flashed in his eyes. Surprise, then anger. "Who have you told?" "Everyone." It was a bluff, but a calculated one. "Lawyers, accountants, the police. Did you really think I wouldn't notice $500,000 missing from my accounts?" He released my arm, taking a step back. "You're making a mistake." "The mistake was trusting you." I moved past him toward the door. "I want you out of my house, tonight." "This is my house too." "Not for long." I turned to face him. "You have 1 hour to pack your things. After that, I'm calling the police." Todd's laugh was cold. "With what evidence? You think anyone will believe you over me? I've covered my tracks, Heidi. Every transfer, every document, it all has your digital signature." The realization hit me like a physical blow. He hadn't just been stealing from me. He'd been framing me. 1 hour, I repeated, my voice steadier than I felt. "Or I release everything I have to the press. How do you think your investor friends will react to that?" As I walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from Warren. "Don't confront him alone. Wait for me." Too late for that. The game had changed. And now there was no turning back. I locked myself in the guest bathroom, hands trembling as I called Warren. "He knows," I whispered. I confronted him. "He's threatening to frame me." "Where are you now?" Warren's voice was tight with concern. "Still at the house." I told him to leave, but a crash from downstairs cut me off. "He's destroying things. Get out of there. Now. I'm 20 minutes away." Another crash, followed by Todd's voice too close. "Heidi, we're not finished." "I don't think I have 20 minutes, I said, my voice barely audible. "Is there somewhere safe you can go until I get there?" I thought quickly. "Lily's place. It's 5 minutes away." "Go, I'll meet you there." I ended the call and texted Lily. "Emergency. Coming over. Todd knows." Her response was immediate. "Doors unlocked. Come straight in." I crept to the bathroom window. It was small, but I could fit through. The drop to the ground wasn't far. As I pushed it open, Todd's footsteps thundered up the stairs. "Hiding won't help," he shouted. "You've ruined everything." I squeezed through the window, scraping my hip on the frame, and dropped to the ground. Pain shot through my ankle, but I forced myself to run, car keys clutched in my hand. My car was parked on the street. I slid behind the wheel, started the engine, and peeled away just as Todd burst out the front door. Lily was waiting at her door when I arrived, pulling me inside and locking the deadbolt behind us. "Are you hurt?" she asked, noticing my limp. "Just twisted my ankle. I'm fine." I wasn't fine. Nothing was fine. "I called the police," she said, leading me to her couch. "They're sending someone." I sank onto the cushions, the adrenaline that had carried me here beginning to fade. "He's going to say I'm crazy, that I'm the one stealing money." "Let him try." Lily handed me a glass of water. "Warren called. He's bringing evidence." "What evidence?" "I don't know exactly. He just said it was enough." I took a shaky sip of water. Todd said every transfer has my digital signature. How am I supposed to fight that? Lily sat beside me. By being smarter than him, which you are. A knock at the door made us both jump. Lily checked the peephole, then opened it to admit Warren, carrying a laptop and a thick folder. Are you all right? He asked me. No, I answered honestly, but I'm here. Warren set his materials on the coffee table. I've been building a case, tracking the money, documenting the timeline, but we need to move fast. The tickets to Bali, they're for tomorrow, not Friday. What? But the email said, misdirection, in case you were watching. They're flying out tomorrow afternoon. My stomach dropped. Then it's over. They'll be gone. Not if we act now. Warren opened his laptop. I've arranged a meeting for tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. With who? James Westfield. I stared at him. The investor, he's not real. No, but Todd doesn't know that we know that. Warren smiled grimly. I have a colleague who's going to play the part. Todd thinks he's meeting his fictional investor. Instead, he'll be walking into a trap. Another knock at the door, more insistent this time. Lily checked the peephole again. Police, she said, opening the door. 2 officers entered, a man and a woman. The woman spoke first. We received a call about a domestic disturbance. My husband threatened me, I said. I had to escape through a window. The male officer took notes while I explained the situation, the stolen money, the threats, the evidence of Todd's plan to flee the country. Has he physically harmed you? The female officer asked. He grabbed my arm, hard enough to leave bruises. I pushed up my sleeve to show the red marks. We'll need to take a statement, she said, and photographs of those bruises. As they documented my injuries, my phone buzzed repeatedly with texts from Todd. You're making a terrible mistake. I can explain everything. Come home and we'll talk this through. Then, more ominously, you have no idea what you've started. I showed the messages to the officers. He's escalating. We can escort you back to collect some belongings, the female officer offered, and file for an emergency restraining order. Thank you, but I'm not going back there tonight. I looked at Warren. We need to prepare for tomorrow. After the police left, Warren outlined his plan. The fake investor meeting, the evidence we'd present, the trap we'd set. What if he doesn't show? I asked. He will, Warren assured me. The prospect of one last score before he disappears, he won't be able to resist. And Daisy, Clayton, they'll be there too. All the players in one room. I thought about Todd's face when I confronted him. The cold anger, the contempt. He'd never loved me. I'd been nothing but a means to an end. I want to be there, I said, face to face. Warren hesitated. It could get ugly. It's already ugly. I met his gaze steadily. This is my life he tried to destroy, my company. I need to look him in the eye when it all falls apart. Lily squeezed my hand. Are you sure? No, I wasn't sure. I was terrified. But beneath the fear was something stronger, a determination I hadn't known I possessed. Tomorrow morning, I said, 9 a.m. I'll be ready. The conference room at Warren's office was deliberately intimidating, all glass and steel, with recording equipment visible in the corners. I sat at the head of the table, dressed in my most powerful outfit, a folder of evidence in front of me. Warren stood nearby, speaking quietly into his phone. They've arrived, bringing them up now. My heart hammered against my ribs. In moments, I would face the man who had betrayed me in every possible way, the woman who had helped him, the friend who had chosen the wrong side. Are you ready? Warren asked. I thought about all I had lost, and all I still had to fight for. I'm ready. The door opened. Todd entered first, his confident smile faltering when he saw me. Behind him came Daisy, then Clayton, the 3 people I had trusted most in the world. What is this? Todd demanded. Where's Westfield? I stood, steadier than I'd felt in days. There is no Westfield, Todd. There never was. His eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? I think it's time we all told the truth, I said. Don't you? The silence in the conference room felt electric. Todd recovered first, his smile returning. That same charming, confident smile that had once made me feel special. Heidi, sweetheart, this is ridiculous. He turned to Warren. I don't know what she's told you, but my wife has been under tremendous stress lately. Her business is doing exceptionally well, I interrupted, despite your best efforts to drain it dry. I opened the folder in front of me, sliding documents across the table one by one. Transfers to offshore accounts, falsified financial statements, emails between the three of you planning your escape. I looked at each of them in turn. Did I miss anything? Clayton shifted uncomfortably. Todd, what is she talking about? She's making this up, Todd insisted. Clayton, you know me. Would I do something like this? Like register a fake consulting company to funnel money through? I pushed another document forward. Meridian Consulting's incorporation papers with Clayton's signature. Or book one-way tickets to Bali for you and Daisy. Daisy's face drained of color. Tickets for both of us? Interesting. She hadn't known about that part. First class, I confirmed. Very romantic. Todd's composure slipped. This is absurd. I want my lawyer. Excellent idea, Warren said, speaking for the first time. In fact, I've taken the liberty of contacting the authorities. They're very interested in speaking with all of you. Clayton stood abruptly. I had nothing to do with this. Todd asked me to sign some papers for a business venture, that's all. Sit down, Clayton, Todd snapped. She's bluffing. There's no evidence. I pulled out my final document, a report from the forensic accountant Warren had hired. Every transaction, every email, every falsified document, it's all here, including the ones with my forged signature. Todd's eyes darted toward the door. This is a waste of time. I'm leaving. I wouldn't, Warren said mildly. There are federal agents in the lobby. Todd froze. For the first time, real fear crossed his face. You can't prove anything, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Actually, I can. I nodded to Warren, who pressed a button on his phone. Todd's voice filled the room. Every transfer, every document, it all has your digital signature. My own voice followed. 1 hour, or I release everything I have to the press. The recording continued, capturing every damning word from our confrontation the night before. You recorded me? Todd's face contorted with rage. That's illegal. Not in our state, Warren replied. Single-party consent. Daisy stood, her professional mask crumbling. I want immunity. I'll testify against both of them. Daisy? Todd looked betrayed. What are you doing? Saving myself. She turned to me. It was his idea, all of it. He said you'd never notice, that you were too trusting. That's enough, Clayton interrupted. No one say another word until we have legal representation. Too late. The door opened, and 2 agents entered, followed by a woman in a business suit who introduced herself as a prosecutor with the Financial Crimes Division. What followed was a blur of legal terms and procedures, statements taken, rights read. Todd, Daisy, and Clayton led away separately for questioning. Through it all, I sat perfectly still, watching the life I thought I had dissolved before my eyes. Hours later, I stood alone in the empty conference room, staring out at the city below. Warren entered quietly, closing the door behind him. They're being processed now, he said. The prosecutor is confident they have enough for an indictment. I nodded, still looking out the window. What happens to my company? It's yours, Heidi. It always was. The forensic accountant has already begun untangling the financial mess. You'll need to work closely with her, but your business will survive this. And the money they took? Some can be recovered, not all of it. He paused. I'm sorry. I turned to face him. Don't be. Money can be replaced. What will you do now? The question hung in the air. What would I do? The future I'd planned, the life I'd built with Todd, was gone. Yet standing here, I felt lighter than I had in months, maybe years. "First, I'm going to change the locks," I said. "Then, I'm going to call Esme and offer her that promotion for real." Warren smiled. "And after that?" "I don't know yet." I gathered my things, suddenly eager to leave this room, this building, this chapter behind. But for the first time in a long time, I get to decide. The house felt different when I returned, emptier, but somehow less hollow. I moved through the rooms, reclaiming each space. In Todd's office, I found a framed photo of us I'd missed before, taken on our honeymoon. I studied his face, searching for signs of the deception to come. There were none, or perhaps I simply hadn't wanted to see them. My phone rang, Lily checking in. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," I said, surprised to find it was true. "Actually, I'm thinking about redecorating." "Bold move. What did you have in mind?" I looked around at the house Todd had largely designed, with its neutral colors and minimalist aesthetic, nothing that truly reflected me. "Everything," I said. "I'm changing everything." After we hung up, I wandered into the kitchen where it had all begun, where Lily had shown me those first damning transfers on our anniversary night. The remnants of the party had been cleared away, but a single champagne flute remained on the counter, forgotten. I picked it up, turning it in my hands. 5 years of marriage, 8 years together, a lifetime of memories, now tainted. With deliberate care, I placed the glass in the sink. Then I opened a drawer, pulled out a notepad, and began to write. Not a list of what I'd lost, but of what came next. At the top, I wrote, things that are actually mine. The business, this house, my designs, my future, and most importantly, the truth. No one could take that from me again.
The scent of baby powder and lavender filled my apartment as I fumbled with my keys, balancing grocery bags against my hip. My baby shower was in 2 hours, and I needed everything to be perfect. I'd spent weeks planning it with Zoe, my best friend since college, who'd insisted on handling the final touches while I picked up last-minute supplies. "Zoe," I called out, kicking the door shut behind me. "I got those little cucumber sandwiches you said were essential." No answer. The apartment was eerily quiet for a place that should be in pre-party chaos. I set the bags down on the kitchen counter and noticed something odd, a half-empty bottle of my favorite champagne, the expensive kind Colby and I had been saving for after the baby was born. "Hello?" I called again, my voice bouncing off the walls. That's when I heard it, water sloshing, followed by a soft giggle coming from the master bathroom. I followed the sound, my pregnant belly leading the way, a knot forming in my stomach. The bathroom door was cracked open. I pushed it wider to find Zoe lounging in my bathtub, bubbles up to her chin, my champagne glass dangling from her fingers. "Remy?" She didn't even attempt to cover herself, just smiled lazily. "You're early." I checked my watch. "It's 1:30. The shower starts at 3:01. "About that." She took a long sip from her glass. I pushed it back to 5:00. "Thought you could use the extra time to rest. You know, for the baby." Something cold slithered down my spine. "You... what? Without telling me?" "I texted you." She shrugged, water rippling around her shoulders. I pulled out my phone. No texts from Zoe since yesterday when she'd confirmed she'd be here at noon to help set up. "No, you didn't." She examined her manicure, the one I'd paid for as a thank you for helping with the shower. "Must not have gone through. Technology, right?" I stood there, struggling to process what was happening. This wasn't the Zoe I knew, the one who'd held my hair back during first trimester morning sickness, who'd cried with me when we heard the heartbeat. "Where are the decorations?" I asked, noticing the apartment was completely bare of the yellow and green theme we'd planned. No balloons, no banners, no carefully arranged gift table. "In the spare room." She waved vaguely. I was just about to start when I thought, God, I need a bath. "Your tub is so much nicer than mine." The doorbell rang, startling us both. "That's weird," I said. "No one should be here yet." Zoe's expression flickered. Something like annoyance crossed her face before she composed herself. "Could be the delivery guy with the cake." I headed for the door, confusion mounting. When I opened it, I found Skylar, another close friend, standing there with an apologetic look and a beautifully wrapped gift. "Hey," she said softly. "I know I'm early for the new time, but I wanted to drop this off before heading to my mom's." "New time?" Skylar's brow furrowed. "Yeah, Zoe texted everyone that it was moved to 5, but then she sent another message about an hour ago saying you weren't feeling well and needed to cancel altogether." She peered past me into the apartment. "Are you okay? You look surprised." The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. "Zoe told everyone the shower was canceled?" "Yeah. She said the doctor put you on bed rest or something?" Skylar's confusion mirrored my own. "Is that not true?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text, then another and another. I glanced down to see messages flooding in. Friends apologizing for the canceled shower, offering to help reschedule, asking how I was feeling. "I need to sit down," I mumbled, backing away from the door. Skylar followed me in, closing the door behind her. "Remy, what's going on?" "I don't know," I whispered, but a terrible suspicion was forming. The shower wasn't canceled. I didn't know anything about a time change. Just then, Zoe emerged from the hallway, wrapped in my robe, her hair turbaned in my towel. She froze when she saw Skylar. "Oh, hey, Sky." Her voice was honey-sweet, but her eyes were sharp. "I thought you couldn't make it." "I was just dropping off my gift," Skylar said slowly, looking between us. "Since Remy wasn't feeling well." "Right," Zoe nodded vigorously. "Poor thing has been so stressed. The doctor said it's not good for the baby." I stared at her, heat rising to my face. "I saw my doctor 2 days ago. I'm perfectly healthy." The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. "There must be some misunderstanding," Zoe finally said, her smile tightening. My phone buzzed again. Another friend. "So sorry about the shower, Remy. Zoe said you were devastated but needed the rest. Let me know when you reschedule." I looked up from my phone to find Zoe watching me, something calculating in her gaze. In that moment, I realized I was looking at a stranger wearing my best friend's face. "Why would you do this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Skylar's phone chimed. She glanced at it, then back at us, her expression hardening. "It's from Poppy. She says Zoe told everyone to leave their gifts with her since you wouldn't be up for opening them today." The room started to spin. 7 years of friendship, and I'd never seen this coming. Skylar set her gift on the coffee table and crossed her arms. The room felt too small suddenly, air too thick to breathe properly. My baby kicked inside me as if sensing my distress. "I think you should leave," I told Zoe, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "Remy, come on." Zoe's laugh was brittle. "This is clearly just a miscommunication." "A miscommunication?" I held up my phone, showing the stream of apologetic texts. "You told everyone my doctor put me on bed rest. You told them to give their gifts to you." She rolled her eyes. "I was trying to help. You've been so emotional lately." "Don't." My hand shot up. "Don't you dare blame this on pregnancy hormones." Skylar stepped between us. "Zoe, seriously, what the hell?" Zoe's face hardened. She unturbaned the towel, letting her damp hair fall around her shoulders. "Fine, whatever, I'll go." She stalked toward the bathroom, the belt of my robe trailing behind her. I sank onto the couch, hands shaking. Skylar sat beside me, her warm palm covering mine. "I don't understand," I whispered. "Why would she do this?" "I don't know." Skylar squeezed my hand. "But we're going to figure it out." 10 minutes later, Zoe emerged fully dressed, makeup perfect, not a hair out of place. She gathered her things without looking at us, dropping my house key on the counter with a theatrical clink. "For what it's worth," she said at the door, "I really was trying to help. You've been so wrapped up in baby stuff, you haven't noticed how exhausted you look." The door closed behind her before I could respond. "Unbelievable," Skylar muttered. I stared at the closed door, mind racing. "I need to see her phone." "What?" "Her phone. I need to see exactly what she sent everyone." Skylar pulled out her phone, scrolling through messages. "Here's what I got yesterday. Hey everyone. Remy's been super tired, so we're pushing the shower back to 5 p.m., same place. She scrolled more. Then today, bad news, doctor's orders, Remy needs rest, shower canceled. If you already bought gifts, I can collect them for her. My stomach twisted. Can you forward those to me? While Skylar sent the messages, I checked my own phone again. Nothing from Zoe about any changes. I scrolled back through our text history, looking for clues I might have missed. That's when I noticed it, a gap in our conversation from 3 days ago. We'd been discussing the guest list and I'd asked if she'd heard back from Poppy. That's weird, I murmured. What? I'm missing texts. I showed Skylar my phone. See, I asked about Poppy, then nothing until the next day when Zoe confirmed she'd be here at noon today. Skylar frowned. You think she deleted messages from your phone? When would she have had the chance? But even as I asked, I knew the answer. Yesterday. She came over to help me sort baby clothes. I left my phone on the counter when I went to the bathroom. Jesus, Remy. I rubbed my temples, trying to make sense of it all. I need to call Poppy. Poppy answered on the second ring, her voice cautious. Remy? Are you okay? Zoe said. I'm fine, I cut in. No bed rest, no doctor's orders. The shower wasn't canceled. Silence. Then, oh my God, that bitch! Poppy, has Zoe said anything strange to you lately? About me or the baby? A hesitation. Not exactly, but there was something off at brunch last week. You had that doctor's appointment, remember? Zoe kept making these little comments. What kind of comments? Just, I don't know, like how you were using the pregnancy to get attention, how Colby was probably feeling trapped, stuff like that. My chest tightened. She said that? I thought she was joking. You know how she gets sometimes. I did know. Zoe's humor had always had an edge, but I'd never thought it was malicious. Not until now. After hanging up, I sat in stunned silence while Skylar made tea. The apartment felt wrong somehow, violated. I picked up my phone again, scrolling through texts from other friends. Each message of concern twisted the knife deeper. Here, Skylar handed me a steaming mug. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I don't know my best friend at all. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Colby, my husband, home early from his business trip. One look at my face, and he dropped his bags, wrapping me in his arms. What happened? He asked, looking over my head at Skylar. As we filled him in, his expression darkened. I knew something was off with her lately. What do you mean? I pulled back to look at him. He hesitated. Just comments she's made, questions about us. Last month at that dinner party, she cornered me by the grill and asked if I was ready for how different things would be after the baby. Said you might not bounce back the way I hoped. The betrayal cut deeper. While I'd been planning a nursery with Zoe, she'd been planting seeds of doubt with my husband. There's more, Skylar said quietly. She held out her phone, showing a group chat I wasn't part of. Poppy just sent this to me. I took the phone, stomach dropping as I read the messages. Zoe had created the chat 3 weeks ago, adding everyone except me. The most recent message, sent just after she'd left my apartment. Remy's shower is officially back on, 5 p.m. at my place instead. She's been so stressed about hosting, I offered to take over. Don't tell her, it's a surprise. She's throwing my shower at her apartment? I whispered, disbelieving. Look at the earlier messages, Skylar urged. I scrolled up, reading weeks of subtle undermining. Zoe positioning herself as the concerned friend, managing my difficult pregnancy moods. Suggesting gift ideas that were nothing like my taste. Planning activities I would hate. She's not just sabotaging your shower, Colby said, his voice tight with anger. She's replacing it, replacing you. I looked up at him, a cold realization dawning. This isn't about the shower at all, is it? Colby made calls while I sat on the couch, staring at the blank wall where decorations should have been hanging. Skylar had gone to intercept guests who might show up at Zoe's apartment, armed with the truth and directions to our place instead. Most people are still coming, Colby said, setting his phone down. They're as confused as we are, but they want to be here for you. I nodded mechanically. My hand rested on my belly, feeling our daughter's restless movements. I still don't understand why she'd do this. Some people can't stand to see others happy. He sat beside me, his weight familiar and comforting, especially when it's something they want for themselves. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The promotion. 3 months ago, Zoe and I had both been up for the same senior position at the marketing firm where we worked. I'd gotten it, despite being pregnant. She'd congratulated me with champagne and flowers, insisting she was thrilled for me. You think she's still angry about that? Colby asked. I don't know. But pieces were falling into place. Her increased interest in my pregnancy after the promotion announcement. Her subtle comments about how my maternity leave might affect my new role. Maybe it's not just the job. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up Instagram, scrolling through Zoe's recent posts. There it was, subtle but unmistakable. Photos where she looked radiant while I appeared tired or awkward. Captions emphasizing her freedom and spontaneity contrasted with hints about my new limitations. She'd been crafting a narrative for months. I need to confront her, I said, closing the laptop. Colby frowned. Is that a good idea? You're upset and she's clearly not thinking rationally. I'm not going to scream at her in the street. I struggled to stand, my center of gravity still unfamiliar after 7 months of pregnancy. But I need to understand, and I need to get back what's mine. What do you mean? I pointed to the spare room. The decorations, the guest book, the games, everything we bought for today. It's all still here. She said it was in the spare room. We checked, but the room was empty except for the half-assembled crib Colby had been working on. She must have taken it all to her place, Colby said. My phone buzzed with a text from Skylar. At Z's apartment. Decorations everywhere. Our decorations. The yellow and green ones we picked out. She's telling everyone you asked her to host at the last minute because your AC broke. I showed Colby the message. His jaw tightened. That's it. I grabbed my purse. I'm going over there. Not alone, you're not. 20 minutes later, we pulled up outside Zoe's building. Through her first floor window, I could see yellow and green balloons bobbing against the ceiling. My balloons, my shower, my friends. Wait, Colby said as I reached for the door handle. Let's think this through. What exactly do you want to accomplish here? I paused, considering. I want my friends to know the truth. I want my things back. And I swallowed hard. I want to know why. Why she would betray me like this. He nodded. Okay, but remember, she's already shown she's willing to lie. Be prepared for that. We approached her door and I could hear laughter inside. My hand hovered over the doorbell, suddenly uncertain. What if I was overreacting? What if there was a reasonable explanation? Then I heard Zoe's voice, clear through the door. Poor Remy. She tries so hard, but organizing just isn't her thing. This shower would have been a disaster if I hadn't stepped in. Anger surged through me. I pressed the doorbell. Zoe opened the door, champagne flute in hand. Her smile froze when she saw us. Remy, Colby, what are you doing here? Her voice was too high, too bright. You know exactly why we're here. I stepped forward, forcing her to back up. You stole my baby shower. The room fell silent as our friends turned to stare. I recognized all the decorations. The handmade banner Skylar and I had crafted. The photo display of my pregnancy journey. Even the specialty cupcakes I'd ordered. Don't be ridiculous, Zoe laughed, but her eyes darted nervously. I saved your shower. Your apartment was a mess, and you were clearly overwhelmed. I simply moved everything here to help you. That's not true, and you know it. My voice was steady despite the fury coursing through me. You canceled my shower behind my back, then recreated it here without me. Poppy stepped forward, confusion on her face. Zoe told us you asked her to host because your air conditioning broke. My air conditioning is fine. I never asked her to do anything. Murmurs spread through the room. Zoe's smile became strained. You're hormonal, she said dismissively. You probably don't remember what we discussed. Stop. Colby's voice cut through the tension. Remy has the text messages proving you canceled the shower without her knowledge. You told everyone she was on bed rest. Zoe's face hardened. I was trying to help. You've been so self-absorbed since getting pregnant, and especially since the promotion. Some friend you are, taking a job you knew I wanted more than anything, then expecting me to celebrate while you have everything. The raw bitterness in her voice stunned me into silence. Is that what this is about? The promotion? I asked quietly. Something flickered in her eyes, pain, maybe, or shame, before her expression closed off again. This is about you thinking you're better than everyone else. Little Miss Perfect with her perfect husband and perfect baby and perfect career. Zoe, I reached for her arm, but she jerked away. Don't touch me. She stepped back, bumping into the gift table. A small, wrapped package fell, its tag fluttering open. I recognized Skylar's handwriting immediately, the gift she'd brought to my apartment, the one she'd left on my coffee table. How did this get here? I asked, picking it up. Skylar, who'd been watching from the corner, stepped forward. I left that at your place, with you. All eyes turned to Zoe, whose face had gone pale. I was just trying to make sure everything was perfect, she whispered, but the excuse sounded hollow even to her own ears. In that moment, looking at the woman I'd trusted with my deepest secrets, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. This betrayal went far deeper than a stolen baby shower, and I had no idea how far Zoe was willing to go. The shower dissolved into awkward murmurs and sidelong glances. Some friends made excuses and slipped out, others stayed, helping me pack up decorations and gifts. Zoe watched from the kitchen, arms crossed, refusing to help or leave her own apartment. You're making a scene over nothing, she called as I carefully folded the handmade banner. This is exactly why I took over. You're too emotional right now to handle anything properly. I ignored her, focusing on breathing evenly. Colby squeezed my shoulder as he passed with a box of supplies. Don't engage, he whispered. That's what she wants. When everything was packed, I paused at the door, our remaining friends waiting in the hallway with armfuls of decorations. I want my house key back, I told Zoe. She rolled her eyes. I already gave it to you. You gave me the spare. I want the one you had copied without my permission. Her expression flickered with surprise before settling into defiance. I don't know what you're talking about. The one you used to get into our apartment when we weren't home. The one that let you delete texts from my phone and go through my things. For a moment, she looked genuinely confused. Then understanding dawned in her eyes, followed quickly by calculation. She disappeared into her bedroom, returning with a key that she tossed carelessly onto the counter. Take it. It's not like I need it anymore. Her smile was cold. Good luck with the baby. Hope she doesn't ruin your perfect life the way you ruined our friendship. I left without responding, the weight of her words following me down the hallway. Back home, we salvaged what we could of the shower. Friends rallied, setting up decorations and organizing games. It wasn't what I'd planned, but their support warmed me in ways I hadn't expected. You okay? Skylar asked, finding me alone in the kitchen. Not really. I leaned against the counter. I keep thinking about what she said, about me ruining our friendship. That's classic manipulation. You know that, right? She betrayed you, then tried to make it your fault. I know, but I hesitated. What if there's some truth to it? What if I did change after the promotion or after getting pregnant? Skylar shook her head. Even if you did change, which is normal, by the way, it doesn't justify what she did. I just can't stop wondering how long this has been going on. How many other things she's done that I don't know about. Maybe you should ask Rex, Skylar suggested. They've been dating for what, 6 months? He might know something. I'd almost forgotten about Rex, Zoe's boyfriend. They'd started dating shortly after I announced my pregnancy. I don't really know him that well, I admitted. Well, he's friends with Colby from that basketball league, right? Maybe Colby could talk to him. The idea took root. By the time the last guests left that evening, I'd convinced myself it was the right move. Colby was less certain. I don't want to drag Rex into this, he said as we cleaned up. It puts him in an awkward position. I'm not asking you to interrogate him, just feel him out. See if he's noticed anything strange about Zoe's behavior. Colby sighed. Fine. We're meeting for a game tomorrow anyway. The next morning, I woke to an email notification that made my blood run cold. Someone had accessed my work accounts overnight. Specifically, the client files for the Meridian campaign I'd been leading since my promotion. I called our IT department immediately. Yes, they confirmed my credentials had been used to log in at 2:17 a.m. No, they couldn't tell from which device, but the IP address matched our office network. Someone was in the office in the middle of the night? I asked, disbelieving. Appears so, the IT manager replied. Want me to lock your account and issue new credentials? Yes, please. And can you tell me what files were accessed? The Meridian presentation deck and budget spreadsheets. My stomach dropped. The presentation I was scheduled to deliver to the client next week, my first major pitch since the promotion. I hung up and called Colby, who had left early for his basketball game with Rex. I think Zoe's trying to sabotage my job, I told him, explaining about the account access. Jesus, he breathed. That's crossing a line. You need to tell your boss. And say what? I have no proof it was her. Who else would it be? You need to protect yourself, Remy. He was right. I showered quickly and headed to the office, despite it being Saturday. If Zoe was planning something with those files, I needed to get ahead of it. The office was quiet when I arrived. I went straight to my desk, noticing immediately that something was off. My desk drawer was slightly ajar, the one where I kept my backup files and notes. As I was checking what might be missing, my phone buzzed with a text from Colby. Just talked to Rex. You need to hear this. He says Zoe's been obsessed with you for months, keeps a file of screenshots of your social media, talks about you constantly. He thought it was normal friend stuff until recently. Another text followed. There's more. He broke up with her last night after your shower. Said she screamed about how you've always had everything she deserved. He's worried about what she might do. I stared at the messages, a chill running through me. This wasn't just jealousy or pettiness. This was something darker. My computer chimed with an email notification. It was from our biggest client, Meridian's CEO. Remy, received the updated presentation you sent last night. Concerned about the budget discrepancies. Can we discuss ASAP? I hadn't sent anything last night. With shaking hands, I opened my sent items folder. There it was, an email to Meridian with an attached presentation sent at 2:43 a.m. from my account. I downloaded the attachment, heart pounding as I opened it. It was my presentation, but with subtle, devastating changes. Budget numbers inflated, timeline promises we couldn't keep, strategy points that contradicted what we'd previously agreed upon, changes that would make me look incompetent, dishonest, or both. My phone rang. Colby again. Rex just called back, he said without preamble. Zoe texted him this morning. By Monday, Remy will be begging me to save her career. I called my boss Marcus immediately. Weekend or not, this couldn't wait. Someone accessed my account last night and sent altered files to Meridian, I explained, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm at the office now. The original files are intact on my computer, but the versions sent to the client have been tampered with. Slow down, Marcus said. What kind of alterations are we talking about? Budget inflation, impossible timelines, strategy contradictions. I swallowed hard. It looks like I'm either incompetent or trying to scam them. Silence stretched across the line. That's serious, Remy. Any idea who would do this? I hesitated. Accusing a colleague without proof was dangerous, especially one as well-liked as Zoe. I have suspicions, but no concrete evidence. Come to my place in an hour, he said finally. Bring everything you have. We need to get ahead of this before the client loses faith completely. After hanging up, I forwarded Rex's text messages to my email for documentation. Then I called IT again, requesting access logs for the building. If Zoe had used her keycard last night, we'd have proof. Colby arrived at the office just as I was gathering my things. You shouldn't be alone right now, he said, pulling me into a hug. Rex is really worried. He said Zoe kept journals about you, pages analyzing your social media posts, notes about your schedule. I pulled back, staring at him. That's disturbing. It gets worse. She apparently told him multiple times that you stole her life, that everything you have should have been hers. A memory surfaced. Zoe, drunk at my engagement party 3 years ago, saying, "You're living my dream, you know that?" I'd thought she meant it as a compliment. "I need to talk to Rex directly," I said. "He's waiting downstairs. Didn't want to come up in case Zoe showed up." We took the elevator down. Rex was pacing outside, looking haggard. When he saw me, relief washed over his face. "Remy, thank God. I've been trying to call Zoe all morning. She's not answering." "When did you last hear from her?" I asked. "After that text about your career, I called her. She sounded off, laughing 1 minute, crying the next, said something about finally balancing the scales." My hand instinctively went to my belly, protective. "Rex, I need to know everything. Has she done anything like this before? Obsessed over someone? Tried to harm them?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Not that I know of. But about a month ago, she got really upset when I mentioned my ex. Started asking all these questions about her. The next day, my ex called, freaking out because someone had sent her old private photos to her boss." "And you think Zoe did that?" "Did. I didn't then. But now." He shook his head. "There's something else. She has a storage unit. She took me there once to get some camping gear, and I saw a box with your name on it. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Figured it was just friend stuff." Ice slid down my spine. "Where's this storage unit?" An hour later, after meeting with Marcus and formulating a plan to contact Meridian first thing Monday, Colby and I stood outside Zoe's storage unit. Rex had given us the code, along with his key to her apartment in case we needed it. "Are we sure about this?" Colby asked as I punched in the numbers. "This feels like an invasion of privacy." "She invaded mine first," I reminded him. "Besides, we're not breaking in. Rex gave us permission." The lock clicked open. I pulled up the rolling door, revealing a small space packed with furniture and boxes. In the back corner sat a plastic tub labeled Remy in bold black marker. Colby pulled it out while I kept watch. Inside were dozens of items, screenshots of my social media printed and annotated, copies of emails I'd sent the team at work, photos of Colby and me with my face circled, and most disturbingly, a folder containing my medical information, ultrasound images, doctor's appointment summaries, even lab results. "How did she get these?" I whispered, hands shaking as I held up my medical records. "Your doctor's portal," Colby realized. "You gave her your password when you were sick last year, remember? So she could check your test results while you were sleeping." Beneath the papers lay something that made my blood run cold. A small notebook filled with Zoe's handwriting, detailing a plan titled, "Taking Back What's Mine." It outlined everything: sabotaging my baby shower, undermining my confidence, damaging my reputation at work. But the final steps made my heart stop. Step 7. Destroy R's credibility with Meridian. Step 8. Offer to take over account when R is removed. Step 9. Suggest R is unstable due to pregnancy hormones. Step 10. Comfort C when R falls apart. Colby read over my shoulder, his face paling. "She's planning to go after me next, after you lose your job." The last entry, dated yesterday, simply read, "R confronted me at the shower. Accelerating timeline. C seems concerned about her. Perfect opening. Will implement final phase tomorrow night at the dinner." "What dinner?" I looked at Colby. His expression shifted from confusion to realization. "The team dinner. For the Meridian account. It's tomorrow night at Vela. Marcus scheduled it last week." I wasn't invited. "Yes, you were. I saw the email." He pulled out his phone, scrolling through messages. "Here, Marcus sent it Tuesday. You, me, Marcus, the Meridian executives." I shook my head. I never got that email. We looked at each other, understanding dawning simultaneously. "She's intercepting your work emails too," Colby said quietly. I sank to the floor, the full weight of Zoe's betrayal crushing me. This wasn't just about jealousy or a stolen promotion. This was methodical, calculated destruction of my life. "She's not going to stop," I whispered, clutching the notebook, "and now we know exactly what she's planning next." Colby helped me to my feet, determination hardening his features. then we stop her first. As we close the storage unit, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Found something interesting in your husband's phone. Want to see? Might change how you feel about your perfect marriage. Attached was a photo of Colby and Zoe, heads close together, her hand on his arm. It looked intimate, conspiratorial. The timestamp was from yesterday, during my baby shower. I stared at the photo, my throat tightening. Without a word, I handed the phone to Colby. What the hell? He squinted at the image. This was when I went to get your jacket from the bedroom. She followed me, asking if you were really okay. His eyes met mine, searching. Remy, you don't think... I don't know what to think anymore. The words came out sharper than intended. Every time I think I understand how far this goes, there's another layer. The drive home passed in tense silence. My mind raced through possibilities. Was Colby hiding something? Was this just another of Zoe's manipulations? The seed of doubt had been planted, and I hated how easily it took root. At home, Colby tried to pull me into his arms, but I stepped back. I need to ask you something, I said, forcing myself to meet his eyes. And I need the absolute truth. Anything. Has there ever been anything between you and Zoe? Even something small that might have given her the wrong idea? His face registered shock, then hurt. No, never, not even close. She's fixated on you, on us, on our life together. My voice cracked. That has to come from somewhere. Colby ran a hand through his hair. The only interaction I've had with her outside of group settings was when she called me after you got the promotion. She said she was worried about you working too hard during pregnancy, suggested I talk to you about stepping back. You never told me that. Because I shut it down immediately. Told her you were more than capable of managing your own career and pregnancy. He hesitated. I didn't think it was worth mentioning. I wanted to believe him. Everything in our 7 years together told me I could, but Zoe had been my friend for just as long, and look how wrong I'd been about her. I need some air, I said, grabbing my keys. Remy, please, don't leave like this. I'm not leaving. I just need to think. Outside, I sat on our front steps, breathing in the cool evening air. My phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. He's lying. Ask him about the hotel bar 3 months ago. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Engaging would only feed into whatever game Zoe was playing, but not knowing would eat at me. Before I could decide, another text arrived. This one from Skylar. Just got a strange call from Zoe asking about your marriage, said Colby, confided in her about problems between you two. I told her she was full of shit, but thought you should know. That settled it. I went back inside to find Colby sitting on the couch, head in his hands. She's trying to divide us, I said, showing him Skylar's text. That's her next move. Relief washed over his face. You believe me? I believe in us. I sat beside him. And I'm done letting her manipulate me. He pulled me close. What do we do now? We fight back, but not her way. I pulled out the notebook we'd found. We use her own plan against her. Sunday morning, I called Marcus again. I know who's behind the email, I told him. It's Zoe. I have evidence. A notebook detailing her plans to sabotage me and take over the Meridian account. Silence, then a heavy sigh. That's hard to believe, Remy. Zoe's been with the company for years. So have I. And I can prove it. She's planning something at the dinner tonight. Dinner? At Vela, with the Meridian executives. Another pause. There is no dinner at Vela tonight. We're meeting the Meridian team tomorrow morning at their offices. My suspicions confirmed, I explained everything. The intercepted emails, the altered presentation, the notebook. By the end, Marcus was furious. Bring everything to my office in an hour, he said. And Remy? Be careful. This level of obsession is dangerous. After hanging up, I called Poppy, who'd been uncharacteristically quiet since the shower disaster. I've been meaning to call you, she said, her voice small. There's something you should know. About Zoe? Yes, she asked me to help her, with your shower at first. Said you were overwhelmed and would appreciate us taking over. Poppy's voice trembled. But then she started saying weird things about how you didn't deserve your life, how she should have your job, your husband. Why didn't you tell me? I thought she was just venting. Then at the shower, when I saw how shocked you were. She paused. After everyone left, she asked me to do something else, something worse. My pulse quickened. What? She wanted me to tell people at work that you'd been making mistakes, that pregnancy was affecting your performance. Poppy's voice dropped to a whisper. She offered to pay me, Remy. Said it would help us both get what we deserve. And what did you say? I told her she needed help. She laughed and said she was just testing my loyalty. Poppy hesitated. There's something else. She mentioned having access to your email, your medical records. Said she knew things about you that even Colby didn't know. After promising Poppy I didn't blame her, I hung up and turned to Colby. We need to change all our passwords now. While Colby handled our personal accounts, I focused on work emails and medical portals. As I was changing my doctor's portal password, I noticed something chilling. Someone had accessed my records yesterday, viewing the results of my latest glucose test. A test that had come back with concerning numbers, requiring follow-up. My phone buzzed with a text from the unknown number. Zoe, I was certain. Poor baby. Gestational diabetes is so stressful. Hope nothing happens to make your condition worse. Stress is so dangerous during pregnancy. She knew. Somehow she knew about my test results before I did. Another text followed. Maybe we should discuss this in person. I'll be at Vela at 7. Come alone. Or Colby gets the real photos from the hotel bar, the ones where he wasn't just talking. You're not going, Colby said firmly after I showed him the texts. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap. I paced our living room, one hand pressed against my lower back where the baby was kicking furiously. But what choice do I have? She's threatening to release something that could destroy us. Photos that don't exist. I've never been alone with her in a hotel bar or anywhere else. I stopped pacing. Then why is she so confident? Why risk everything on a bluff? Colby's expression shifted. The conference in Chicago, 3 months ago. What about it? The team dinner was at a hotel restaurant. Zoe was there, along with Marcus and the others. He ran a hand through his hair. I had a drink with everyone at the bar before dinner. She sat next to me, kept ordering rounds. My stomach tightened. And nothing happened. But she was taking pictures all night. Said she was documenting the team bonding for the company newsletter. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos. Here, Marcus sent me these afterward. The images showed a typical work gathering. Colleagues laughing, raising glasses. In one, Colby sat at the bar with Zoe beside him, her body angled toward his, her hand resting casually on his arm as she leaned in to say something. Nothing inappropriate, but with the right cropping. She could make it look like something it wasn't, I realized. Exactly. And if she's been planning this for months, I sank onto the couch. She might have staged more interactions like that, created evidence to use later. Colby sat beside me, taking my hands. Which is why you can't meet her alone. We need to be smarter than that. My mind raced through options. Going to the police seemed premature. What crime could we prove? Telling Marcus wasn't enough. We needed concrete evidence of Zoe's plans. And ignoring her invitation would only escalate her behavior. What if we turned her trap into our trap? I said slowly. Vela was crowded for a Sunday night. Its dim lighting and intimate booths perfect for what I needed. I spotted Zoe immediately, sitting at a corner table, her back to the wall so she could watch the entrance. She dressed carefully, hair sleek, makeup flawless, wearing a dress I'd once complimented. She smiled when she saw me, a predator's smile that didn't reach her eyes. You came alone, smart. She gestured to the chair across from her. Sit. You look tired. I lowered myself into the seat, acutely aware of the recording app running on my phone in my pocket. Let's skip the small talk, Zoe. What do you want? She sipped her wine, studying me over the rim of her glass. Straight to business. That's what I've always admired about you, Remy. So focused, so driven. Her smile tightened. So oblivious. To what? To the fact that you've been living my life. She set down her glass with precision. The promotion was mine. I had seniority, better numbers, stronger client relationships, but you had Marcus wrapped around your finger. That's not true. Then there's Colby. Her eyes gleamed. Did you know he flirted with me first? At that industry party where you met. He approached me, bought me a drink. Then you walked in with your perfect hair and perfect laugh, and suddenly I was invisible. I kept my expression neutral, though my heart hammered. That was 7 years ago, Zoe. Even if that were true, which I doubt, why would it matter now? Because it's always been the same story. Her voice rose slightly before she controlled it. You swoop in and take what should be mine. My job, my man, even this baby. She gestured to my stomach with disgust. You knew I was trying to get pregnant with Rex. But you had to be first with that too. The revelation stunned me. I had no idea you were trying for a baby. Of course you didn't. You never ask about my life. It's always about you. She leaned forward. But that's changing now. How? Her smile returned, cold and calculated. By this time tomorrow, your perfect life will be in shambles. Marcus already thinks you're unstable, pregnancy hormones affecting your judgment. The altered presentation was just the beginning. Tomorrow morning, the Meridian executives will receive evidence that you've been inflating numbers for months. They won't believe it. They will when it comes from your email account. And when Colby receives certain photos that suggest his pregnant wife isn't as devoted as she seems. She pulled out her phone. I've become quite skilled with Photoshop. My hands clenched under the table. So that's your plan? Frame me for fraud and destroy my marriage with fake photos? It's poetic, don't you think? You lose everything, just like I did. She took another sip of wine. Unless what? You resign from Meridian. Recommend me as your replacement. Tell everyone you need to focus on your pregnancy complications. Her eyes flicked to my stomach. Those glucose numbers were concerning, weren't they? The casual mention of my private medical information sent ice through my veins. And if I do this, you'll leave my family alone? I might even help Colby through his disappointment when his perfect wife falls apart. Her smile turned smug. He deserves someone stronger, someone who understands him. I'd heard enough. I reached into my pocket, pressing the button to stop the recording. Thank you for being so thorough, Zoe. That was exactly what we needed. Confusion flickered across her face. What? I stood carefully, one hand supporting my belly. You should know that Colby is currently with Marcus and the head of IT, reviewing server logs that show you accessing my accounts. Rex is giving a statement about your storage unit full of my personal information, and this entire conversation has been recorded. Her face drained of color. You're lying. I learned from the best. I nodded toward the bar, where Skylar sat watching us, her phone visibly recording. Behind Zoe, Poppy emerged from the restroom hallway, phone also in hand. You think anyone will believe you? Zoe hissed, panic edging into her voice. It's your word against mine. Actually, it's your words against you. I pulled out my phone, showing her the recording app. You just confessed to corporate espionage, harassment, and blackmail, not to mention admitted to accessing my private medical records, which is a federal offense. She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back, bumping into someone solid. Colby stood behind me, his hand steadying my shoulder. It's over, Zoe, he said quietly. Her eyes darted between us, then to the exits where Marcus now stood with 2 security guards. The mask of confidence crumbled, revealing something raw and desperate beneath. You don't understand, she whispered, tears welling. I just wanted what you had, what I deserved. For a moment, looking at the woman who had once been my closest friend, I felt a flicker of pity. Then I remembered the notebook, the meticulous plans to destroy everything I loved. What you deserve, I said softly, is to face the consequences of your actions, just like the rest of us. Security escorted Zoe out while Marcus assured me the company would handle everything legally. In the parking lot, I watched her being led to a police car, her shoulders hunched, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "You don't have to watch this," Colby said, his arm around my waist. "Yes, I do." I couldn't look away as the officers helped her into the back seat. Just before the door closed, she looked up, her eyes meeting mine across the distance. No anger remained, just a hollow emptiness that chilled me more than her rage ever had. The drive home passed in exhausted silence. Adrenaline had drained from my system, leaving bone-deep fatigue in its wake. I leaned my head against the window, watching streetlights blur past. "What happens now?" Colby asked as we pulled into our driveway. I sighed. "The company presses charges for corporate espionage. I file for a restraining order. We change our locks, our passwords, our routines." I meant with us. I turned to look at him, really look at him, for the first time since this nightmare began. The worry lines around his eyes had deepened. "What do you mean?" "You doubted me today, Remy. For a moment, you thought I might have betrayed you with her." The hurt in his voice made my chest ache. "I know. I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Just tell me how we move forward from here." I didn't have an answer then. We went to bed in silence, backs turned to each other, a careful distance between us. Morning light filtered through the blinds as I padded into the kitchen, finding Colby already there, coffee mug in hand. He'd slept on the couch. "Marcus called," he said without preamble. "Zoe's been formally charged. They found more evidence at her apartment. Recordings of your phone calls, screenshots of private messages." I nodded, unsurprised. "Did they find anything about you? The hotel photos she threatened me with?" "Nothing. Like I said, they never existed." His voice was carefully neutral. "The Meridian meeting's been rescheduled for Wednesday. Marcus wants you to take a few days off." "I don't need days off. I need normality." Colby set down his mug. "Nothing about this situation is normal, Remy. I know that." The words came out sharper than intended. I took a breath. "I'm sorry. I don't know how to process any of this." "Neither do I." He hesitated. "Rex called this morning. He's been going through Zoe's things, trying to understand. He found something you should see." He handed me a worn leather journal, different from the notebook we'd found in the storage unit. He said this goes back years, before you and I even met. I opened it carefully. The earliest entry was dated 9 years ago when Zoe and I first became friends. Page after page detailed her growing obsession, not just with me, but with the idea of me, the life she thought I had, the person she believed I was. Remy got the Anderson account today. Everyone acts like it's such a big deal, but she just got lucky. That should have been my account, my success. She doesn't even appreciate it. Remy's dating some finance guy now. She always gets the good ones, always the center of attention, always the one everyone wants to be around. Sometimes I imagine what it would be like to be Remy, to have everyone love me without trying, to have everything come so easily. The entries grew darker over time, her envy curdling into something more sinister, but it was the final page that made my blood run cold. I've tried to be like her. I've tried to hate her. Nothing works. As long as she exists, I'll always be second best. The only solution is to become her, take her place. It's the only way. I closed the journal, hands trembling. She wasn't just jealous. She wanted to replace me. Completely. Colby nodded. "Rex thinks she needs serious psychiatric help. He's working with her family to make sure she gets it." "Good." I set the journal aside. "That's good." We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything between us. "I keep thinking about what she said," I finally admitted. "About me taking what should have been hers. What if there's some truth to it? What if I've been blind to my own privilege, my own luck?" Colby considered this. "Maybe there is some truth there. We all have blind spots. But her response, trying to destroy you rather than talk to you, that's on her, not you." "I know." I met his eyes. "But it's made me think about how I move through the world, how I treat people. I don't want to be oblivious to others' pain." "That's growth, Remy. Taking something valuable even from this nightmare." I reached for his hand across the table. "I'm sorry I doubted you, even for a moment." I understand why you did. His fingers intertwined with mine. Trust is fragile. We're both learning that. So where do we go from here? He squeezed my hand. Forward, together, more aware of what we have and how quickly it can be threatened. The baby kicked then, a strong movement that made me gasp. Colby's hand moved to my belly, his face softening as he felt our daughter's movements. She's going to be strong, he said, like her mother. I covered his hand with mine. I don't feel strong. I feel changed. Changed how? I considered the question carefully. I used to think I knew people, could read them. Now I realize how much we never see, the hidden resentments, the secret pains. Everyone's fighting battles we know nothing about. Even the people closest to us, Colby agreed, especially them. I looked down at our joined hands. But I refuse to let this make me suspicious of everyone. That's no way to live. So what's the alternative? The answer came with surprising clarity. Boundaries, clearer ones, and honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. I met his gaze. Starting with us. He nodded slowly. I can work with that. Outside, rain began to fall, a gentle patter against the windows. The world continued, as it always did. In the aftermath of betrayal, we were different, more cautious perhaps, but also more aware. Of each other, of ourselves, of the fragile, precious thing we'd almost lost. I choose trust, I said softly, even knowing how badly it can hurt when broken. Colby's eyes held mine, understanding passing between us. That, he said, is the bravest thing I've ever heard.
I stood in my living room, staring at the wedding dress hanging from my bookshelf. 3 months of searching, and I'd finally found it. Ivory silk with delicate lace that would catch the light when I walked down the aisle. I ran my fingers over the fabric, imagining Cade's face when he saw me in it. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. Probably Regina with another question about the bachelorette party she was planning. My best friend had been texting nonstop all week, obsessing over every detail like it was her own wedding. I smiled, picking up my phone. Regina and I had been inseparable since college. The kind of friendship where you finish each other's sentences and know exactly what the other person needs before they ask. She'd cried harder than my mom when Cade proposed. The notification wasn't a text. It was an email from an address I didn't recognize. Truth, you need to know ugmail.com. The subject line read, "Before you marry him." My thumb hovered over the delete button. Spam, obviously, but something made me open it. No message, just attachments. 3 photos. The first showed Cade entering a hotel, his arm around a woman whose face I couldn't see. The timestamp read yesterday, when he was supposedly at a work conference in Chicago. My heart stuttered. I opened the second photo. The woman turned toward the camera now, laughing up at Cade. Regina. My Regina, with her hand on my fiancé's chest, looking at him the way she'd looked at no one since her divorce 3 years ago. The room tilted. I sat down hard on the couch, my legs suddenly useless. The third photo was the worst. Cade and Regina kissing in the elevator, his hands in her hair, her body pressed against his. The digital timestamp showed 11:42 p.m. I couldn't breathe. I kept staring at the image, looking for signs it was fake. But I recognized Cade's watch, the one I'd given him for his birthday, and Regina's dress, the green one she'd bought when we went shopping last month. She'd said it was for a work event. My phone buzzed again. A text from Regina. "How's the dress fitting? Can't wait to see pics. Love you." I threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, screen cracked but still lit with her message. "Love you." I ran to the bathroom and vomited until there was nothing left but bile. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. My face was blotchy, mascara streaking down my cheeks. I looked like someone else, someone broken. My phone rang from where it lay on the floor. Cade's ringtone. I walked over and picked it up, staring at his name on the screen. "Hey, beautiful," he said when I answered. His voice was so normal, so Cade, that for a second I thought maybe the photos were some cruel joke. How's my bride-to-be? Where are you? My voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. Still at the conference, last session just ended. Miss me? The lie slid so easily from his lips. Had he always been this good at lying? How many times had I believed him without question? Layla, you there? I got some interesting photos today, I said, surprised by how calm I sounded. Silence. Then, what photos? You and Regina at the Palmer Hotel, yesterday. More silence. I could hear him breathing. Layla, I can explain. Don't. The word came out sharp enough to cut. Is she with you now? No, Don't lie to me. Not anymore. I heard movement, a door closing. Then his voice dropped to a whisper. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. A laugh bubbled up from somewhere deep inside me, bitter and unrecognizable. Which time? Yesterday? Last week? How long, Cade? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. Is she there? I asked again. Yes, he finally admitted. But Layla, please. I ended the call and blocked his number. My phone immediately lit up with a text from Regina. Cade just told me, we need to talk. It's not what you think. I blocked her too. Then I sank to the floor, my back against the wall, and stared at my wedding dress. All those fittings, all those plans. The venue we'd spent months finding, the honeymoon we'd saved for, the life we'd mapped out together. All of it built on lies. I don't know how long I sat there, but when I finally stood, my legs were numb and the room was dark. I walked to the dress and touched it one last time. Then I grabbed my scissors from the desk drawer. The first cut was the hardest. After that, it became easier, satisfying even. I sliced through silk and lace until the dress was nothing but expensive confetti on my floor. When I was done, I swept the pieces into a garbage bag, tied it shut, and placed it by the door. My phone had been silent since I'd blocked them both. But now it buzzed with an incoming call from a number I hadn't seen in months. Amber, my sister. I almost didn't answer. Amber and I hadn't spoken since Christmas, when I'd chosen to spend the holiday with Cade's family instead of hers. But right now, she was the only person in my life who had no connection to Cade or Regina. Hey, I said, my voice hoarse. Layla? She sounded surprised I'd picked up. Are you okay? You sound weird. I opened my mouth to say I was fine, my automatic response to that question for as long as I could remember. But what came out instead was the truth. No, I said. I'm not okay at all. I sat on a park bench, watching a couple argue near the fountain. The woman gesticulated wildly while the man stared at his shoes. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I didn't need to. Their body language told the whole story. 3 days had passed since I'd discovered Cade and Regina's betrayal. 3 days of ignoring their calls from new numbers, deleting their emails without reading them, and pretending I didn't hear the knocking when they came to my apartment. You look like you haven't slept in days, Amber said, handing me a coffee. My sister had insisted on meeting after our call, driving 2 hours to see me. Her concern made me feel both grateful and pathetic. Thanks, I muttered, taking the cup. That's exactly what every woman wants to hear. Amber sat beside me, her shoulder touching mine. Want to talk about it? Not really. I took a sip of coffee, burning my tongue. The pain felt good, something real to focus on. Okay? She didn't push, and I appreciated that. We sat in silence, watching the arguing couple make up with a tearful hug. I canceled everything, I said finally. Venue, caterer, flowers. Most of them kept the deposits, but I don't care. What about the ring? I twisted the diamond on my finger. I'd forgotten it was still there. I should probably return it. Or pawn it and buy yourself something nice. That made me smile, just a little. Pretty sure that's illegal. Only if you get caught. Amber bumped my shoulder with hers. Seriously though, what's your plan? I don't have one. I pulled the ring off and dropped it into my coffee. It sank to the bottom with a satisfying plunk. I just know I can't be here right now. Everywhere I go, I see them. Come stay with me, Amber offered immediately. I have that spare room. You can hide out as long as you need. I considered it. Amber lived in a small town where no one knew me. No one would ask about the wedding or why I looked like I'd been hit by a truck. But the thought of running away made something harden inside me. I can't, I said. If I leave, it's like they win. This isn't a competition, Layla. Isn't it? I watched a group of pigeons fight over a discarded sandwich. They took everything from me. My future, my trust. If I run away, what does that make me? Human, Amber said softly. It makes you human. I was about to respond when I spotted them. Regina and Cade, walking on the path about 50 yards away. They hadn't seen us yet. Regina was talking animatedly, her hands moving as she spoke. Cade nodded, his arm around her waist. Layla? Amber followed my gaze. Oh shit, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. They looked so normal together, like any other couple enjoying the park. Had they always been this comfortable with each other, even when I was around? How had I not seen it? Let's go. Amber tugged at my arm, but I shook her off. Wait. I ducked behind a tree, pulling Amber with me. I want to hear what they're saying. This is a bad idea, but I was already moving, keeping to the trees, getting close enough to hear their conversation. Amber followed reluctantly. Told you we should have waited, Regina was saying. Now everything's a mess. What was I supposed to do? Cade sounded defensive. Once she got those photos, the wedding was off anyway. You could have been more careful about breaking it to her. Now she won't even talk to us. She'll come around. She always does. The casual confidence in his voice made me want to scream. Had I been that predictable? That easy to manipulate? I don't know. Regina sighed. You didn't see her face when she tried on that dress. She was so happy, Cade. And she'll be happy again. Just not with me. He stopped walking, turning to face her. Look, we did a shitty thing. I'm not denying that. But we can't change it now. I know. Regina's voice dropped so low I had to strain to hear. I just keep thinking about the baby. How are we going to tell her about that? The world tilted sideways. Baby? What baby? We don't have to tell her anything, Cade said. It's not her business anymore. Regina put her hand on her stomach, a gesture so instinctive it had to be real. It feels wrong, keeping it from her. She was my best friend. Was being the operative word. Trust me, the less she knows, the better. I must have made a sound because they both turned toward the trees where Amber and I were hiding. We ducked down, but it was too late. Regina had spotted us. Layla, she called, her voice uncertain. I grabbed Amber's hand and ran, ignoring Regina calling my name behind us. We didn't stop until we reached Amber's car, both of us breathing hard. Did you hear that? I gasped, bent over with my hands on my knees. She's pregnant. She's fucking pregnant with his baby. Amber unlocked the car. Get in. We need to get out of here. I slid into the passenger seat, my mind racing. Regina was pregnant. With Cade's child. A child that could have been mine if things had been different. I think I'm going to be sick, I said, rolling down the window. Just breathe, Amber advised, starting the car. Deep breaths, but I couldn't breathe. All I could think about was Regina's hand on her stomach, Cade's arm around her waist. How long had they been together behind my back? How many times had I talked to Regina about wanting children with Cade, not knowing she was already carrying his baby? As we pulled away from the park, something shifted inside me. The numbness that had enveloped me for days cracked open, revealing something hot and dangerous underneath. I need to talk to Brendan, I said suddenly. Who's Brendan? Cade's college roommate. They're still friends. I pulled out my phone. He might know how long this has been going on. Layla, what are you doing? I looked at my sister, really looked at her for the first time in days. I'm not running away, Amber. I'm not hiding. They don't get to do this to me and just walk away happy. What exactly are you planning? I didn't answer. I was too busy scrolling through my contacts, looking for Brendan's number. The gym was nearly empty at 5 a.m. Just me and the weights and the anger burning through my veins. I added another 10 pounds to the bar and positioned myself under it, ignoring the protest in my shoulders. You're going to hurt yourself, a voice said from behind me. I turned to see Marin, my coworker, watching me with concern. Her presence at this hour wasn't surprising. We'd started this early morning routine together months ago. But I hadn't expected her today. I hadn't expected anyone. I'm fine, I grunted, pushing the bar up. My arms trembled with the effort. Marin stepped forward to spot me. You don't look fine. You look like you're trying to punish your body for something your heart is feeling. I let the bar drop back onto the rack with a clang. Since when are you a therapist? Since my best friend started ghosting everyone and showing up at the gym looking like she's planning a murder. She handed me a towel. What's going on, Layla? Everyone's worried. Everyone except Cade and Regina, I muttered, wiping sweat from my face. Understanding dawned in her eyes. Oh shit, you found out. I froze. You knew? Marin looked away, guilt written across her face. I suspected. Regina's been acting weird for months. And then last week at happy hour, I saw how they looked at each other when they thought no one was watching. And you didn't think to tell me? The betrayal felt fresh all over again. I'm planning a wedding with the man, and you just let me walk around clueless? I wasn't sure, she said defensively. And it wasn't my place. I thought if there was something going on, Cade should be the one to tell you. Well, he didn't. I had to find out from anonymous photos someone emailed me. I grabbed my water bottle, suddenly needing to be anywhere but here. And now she's pregnant. Marin's eyes widened. What? Are you sure? I heard them talking about it. I shouldered my gym bag. So yeah, I'm planning something. But it's not murder. It's justice. Layla, wait. She caught my arm. Whatever you're thinking about doing, don't. Just walk away. Start fresh. I yanked my arm free. That's what everyone keeps saying. Walk away. Be the bigger person. Well, I'm tired of being the bigger person. I want them to hurt like I'm hurting. And then what? Marin challenged. You think revenge will make you feel better? It won't. It'll just keep you tied to them. Thanks for the advice, I said coldly, but I've already made up my mind. I left her standing there, her concern following me out the door like an unwanted shadow. Brendan's apartment was exactly what I expected from Cade's college roommate. Minimalist furniture, gaming setup in the corner, protein powder on the kitchen counter. What I hadn't expected was how easily he'd agreed to meet me. I've been waiting for this day, he said, handing me a beer I hadn't asked for. The day you finally realized what an asshole Cade is. I set the beer down untouched. If you knew he was an asshole, why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? He raised an eyebrow. You were so in love you couldn't see straight. Besides, Cade and I have history. You would have thought I was just being bitter. He wasn't wrong. I would have dismissed any criticism of Cade as jealousy or misunderstanding. Love had made me stupid. So what changed? I asked. Why help me now? Brendan leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Because what he's doing to you is exactly what he did to Melissa in college. And Tara after that. And probably others I don't even know about. Who's Melissa? His girlfriend before you. They were together 3 years. He cheated on her with her cousin, got the cousin pregnant, then ghosted them both. He took a swig of his beer. Sound familiar? My stomach twisted. Why are you still friends with him if he's such a monster? We're not friends. We're connected. Big difference. He shrugged. I keep tabs on him because someone should, and because I always hoped one day I could help one of his victims get even. I'm not a victim, I snapped. No? His gaze was uncomfortably direct. What would you call it then? I didn't have an answer for that. Instead, I pulled out my phone and showed him the photos I'd received. Do you know who sent these? He barely glanced at them. No, but I can guess. Regina's not Cade's only side piece. There's a woman named Sabrina he's been seeing off and on. She works at his gym. The floor seemed to drop out from under me. There's another woman? Probably several. Cade doesn't do exclusive, even when he's engaged. Brendan's tone was matter-of-fact, like he was discussing the weather instead of the complete devastation of my life. Sabrina found out about Regina a few weeks ago. She was pissed. I tried to process this new information. Not only had Cade been cheating with my best friend, but he'd been cheating on both of us with someone else. The humiliation burned worse than any physical pain. I need to find this Sabrina, I said, more to myself than to Brendan. Already ahead of you. He slid a piece of paper across the coffee table. Her number, address, work schedule, everything you need. I stared at him. Why are you helping me like this? Something dark flashed across his face. Let's just say Cade has hurt people I care about too. And Regina's no innocent bystander. She knew exactly what she was doing. I folded the paper carefully and put it in my pocket. What do you think I should do with this information? That's up to you. He finished his beer. But if you're looking for maximum impact, wait for the baby shower. Baby shower. Regina's already planning it. 12 weeks along and already sending out save the dates to her inner circle. He smiled without humor. Cade's playing the proud father-to-be. It's quite the performance. The image of them celebrating their betrayal, surrounded by friends and gifts, made me physically ill. But beneath the nausea was something else. A cold, clear purpose. When is it? I asked. 6 weeks from now. Plenty of time to plan something they'll never forget. I stood up, suddenly certain of what I needed to do. Thank you, Brendan. This helps more than you know. He walked me to the door. Just remember something, Layla. Whatever you're planning, make sure it's worth it. Revenge comes with its own price. I thought about Cade's easy lies, Regina's hand on her stomach, the future they'd stolen from me. Some prices, I said quietly, are worth paying. Amber's apartment door swung open before I could knock a second time. Her expression shifted from irritation to surprise when she saw me standing there, overnight bag in hand. Layla, what are you doing here? You said I could stay if I needed to. I shifted uncomfortably. I need to. She stepped aside to let me in. Her apartment was smaller than mine, cluttered with art supplies and half-finished projects. The familiarity of it, the smell of oil paints and coffee, made my throat tighten. What happened? She asked, taking my bag. I thought you were determined to stay in the city. I was. I am. I sank onto her couch. But I ran into Regina at the grocery store yesterday. She tried to talk to me and I just froze. Couldn't speak, couldn't move. Just stood there like an idiot while she apologized for how things happened. What did you say? Nothing. I left my cart in the middle of the aisle and walked out. I pulled my knees to my chest. I realized I need some distance to think clearly, just for a few days. Amber nodded, disappearing into the kitchen. She returned with 2 glasses of wine, handing one to me. So, thinking clearly, she said, sitting beside me. Is that code for plotting revenge? Because your texts have been concerning. I took a long sip of wine. I'm not plotting anything. I'm gathering information. From Cade's friends? From this Sabrina person? She raised an eyebrow. That sounds like plotting to me. It's not like that. But even to my own ears, the defense sounded weak. I just want to understand what happened, how long it was going on, if everyone knew but me. And then what? What's the endgame here, Layla? I stared into my wine glass, watching the red liquid catch the light. What was my endgame? When I'd left Brendan's apartment, I'd felt so certain, so focused. But now, faced with my sister's direct question, I hesitated. I don't know, I admitted finally. I just know I can't let them get away with it. They're having a baby shower, Amber. They're celebrating while I'm picking up the pieces. And you think making them suffer will help you move on? She shook her head. That's not how healing works. Then how does it work? I demanded. Because I've tried everything else. I've blocked their numbers, avoided our usual places, thrown myself into work, but I still wake up every morning with this rage inside me. It's eating me alive. Amber was quiet for a long moment. Do you remember when Dad left? The abrupt change of subject caught me off guard. What does that have to do with anything? You were 12, I was 16. Mom was a mess, drinking too much, crying all the time. She traced the rim of her glass. I was so angry at him. I used to fantasize about ruining his new life with that woman. I even went to their house once, stood outside with a rock in my hand, ready to break their windows. I didn't know that. Because I didn't do it. She met my eyes. I realized it wouldn't change anything. He'd still be gone. Mom would still be heartbroken. And I'd just be the crazy daughter who couldn't let go. This is different, I insisted. Kate and Regina betrayed me. They lied to my face for months, maybe years. I know, and that's awful. She reached for my hand. But revenge won't undo it. It'll just keep you stuck in this moment, reliving the hurt over and over. I pulled my hand away. You don't understand. I understand better than you think. Something in her voice made me look up. Regina called me yesterday. The wine turned sour in my mouth. What? She wanted to know if you were okay. She said she's been trying to reach you. To explain. Explain what? How she fucked my fiancé? How she's carrying his child? The rage I'd been trying to contain bubbled up. What could she possibly say that would make any of this okay? She said it wasn't what I thought. Amber hesitated. She said there were things you didn't know, things Kate had kept from both of you. And you believed her? I don't know what to believe, but I think you should talk to her, hear her side before you do something you can't take back. I stood up, suddenly needing to move. I can't believe you're defending her. I'm not defending anyone. I'm worried about you. She followed me to the window. This isn't like you, Layla. Plotting revenge, obsessing over their baby shower. You're better than this. Maybe I don't want to be better, I said quietly. Maybe I'm tired of being the one who always takes the high road. Amber's reflection in the window looked pained. What exactly are you planning? I turned to face her. Regina's having her baby shower at the Gardenia in 6 weeks. It's invitation only, very exclusive. I need to be there. Why? To make a scene? To humiliate her? To show everyone who she really is. I pulled out my phone, showing her the information Brendan had given me. She's been lying to everyone, not just me. And Cade's been lying to her too. They deserve to have those lies exposed. Amber read through the notes, her expression growing more troubled. Layla, this is a lot. Have you verified any of this? Not yet, but I will. I took the phone back. That's why I need to stay here. I need space from them to put the pieces together. She was quiet for a long moment, studying my face. You know I'll always have your back, but I'm scared this path you're on will hurt you more than it hurts them. I'm already hurt, I said simply. Nothing could make it worse. The look she gave me was so full of sadness it made me want to cry. That's what I'm afraid of, that you believe that. My phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number, but I knew immediately who it was from. Got your number from Brendan. We should talk. I know things about Cade and Regina that will make your revenge so much sweeter. Meet me tomorrow? Sabrina. I looked up at Amber, decision made. I need to borrow your car tomorrow. Where are you going? To meet someone who understands what I'm going through. I put my phone away. Someone who won't tell me to take the high road. Sabrina wasn't what I expected. I'd imagined someone like Regina. Polished, perfect, the kind of woman men leave their fiancés for. Instead, the woman who slid into the booth across from me had purple hair, tattoos crawling up her arms, and eyes that had seen too much. You must be Layla, she said, flagging down a waitress. You look exactly like your Instagram photos. I shifted uncomfortably. How long have you been stalking my social media? Since I found out about you. She ordered a black coffee, then studied me openly. 6 months ago, right after I found out about Regina. 6 months. The timeline hit me like a physical blow. 6 months ago, Kate and I were planning our wedding. 6 months ago, I still believed in forever. So you've known about both of us all this time? I asked when the waitress left. Knew about you. Suspected Regina. Sabrina shrugged. Cade's not exactly subtle when he's juggling women. The constant texting, the mysterious work emergencies, the way he keeps his phone face down. All behaviors I'd noticed but dismissed. Trust makes you blind. Or stupid. Maybe both. Why did you stay with him once you knew? Why does anyone stay in a bad situation? I thought I could change him. She laughed without humor. Plus, the sex was incredible. I'm not going to apologize for that. I flinched. The thought of Cade with other women still felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Look, Sabrina continued. I didn't ask you here to compare notes on Cade's bedroom skills. I asked you here because I have information you can use. What kind of information? She pulled out her phone and showed me a series of text messages between her and Cade. Recent ones, dated after I'd discovered his betrayal. He's freaking out, she explained. Regina's pregnancy wasn't part of his plan. He thought he could keep stringing both of you along indefinitely. I scanned the messages, my heart pounding. Cade complaining about Regina's mood swings. Cade wondering if the baby was really his. Cade suggesting Sabrina meet him at a hotel while Regina was at a doctor's appointment. He's still seeing you? I looked up, incredulous. Occasionally, when he can get away from her. Sabrina took her phone back. Regina thinks she's won, that she's the one he chose. She has no idea he's already looking for his next escape route. The revelation should have brought satisfaction. Proof that Regina wasn't special either, just another woman Cade was using. Instead, I felt a strange, unexpected pang of sympathy for her. She was pregnant with the child of a man who would never be faithful. Does she know about you? I asked. No, and that's where my plan comes in. Sabrina leaned forward, eyes gleaming. The baby shower. It's the perfect opportunity to expose everything. I have texts, photos, hotel receipts. Enough evidence to destroy both of them in front of everyone they care about. The eagerness in her voice made me uneasy. This wasn't about justice for her. It was about inflicting maximum pain. I don't know, I said slowly. That seems, what, too harsh? She scoffed. After what they did to you? They deserve worse. Maybe they did. But sitting across from Sabrina, seeing the raw hatred in her eyes, I glimpsed a possible future version of myself. Bitter, vengeful, defined by someone else's betrayal. The thought terrified me. I need to think about this, I said, standing up. It's a lot to process. Don't take too long. Sabrina's voice hardened. The shower's in 5 weeks, and if you're not interested in my plan, I'll do it myself. I left the cafe feeling shaken, my certainty crumbling. The revenge I'd been plotting suddenly seemed hollow, a path leading nowhere good. I found Quentin in the community garden behind Amber's apartment building, kneeling in the dirt, coaxing stubborn weeds from between tomato plants. I'd met him briefly when I arrived. Amber's new neighbor, the elementary school teacher with kind eyes who'd offered to show me around town. Need some help? I asked, approaching cautiously. He looked up, surprised. Layla, hey. Sure, if you don't mind getting dirty. I knelt beside him, grateful for the simple task. We worked in companionable silence for a while, the repetitive motion of pulling weeds strangely soothing. Rough day? He asked eventually. How can you tell? You're attacking those weeds like they personally offended you. His smile was gentle, without pity. Plus, Amber mentioned you're going through something. Did she tell you what? Just that someone hurt you badly. He sat back on his heels. I don't need details. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger anyway. The kindness in his voice nearly undid me. I'd been holding myself together with anger for so long, I'd forgotten what genuine compassion felt like. I met someone today, I said, focusing on a particularly stubborn dandelion. Someone who's been hurt by the same person who hurt me. She wants revenge. She wants to destroy them publicly. And you don't? I thought I did. I yanked the dandelion free, roots and all. Now I'm not so sure. Quentin was quiet for a moment. Can I tell you something? When my ex-wife left me for my best friend, I spent months planning ways to get back at them. I fantasized about exposing their affair to her conservative parents, about showing up at their housewarming party, about ruining their lives. Did you do it? No, because I realized something important. He met my eyes. Revenge requires you to keep carrying the pain, to keep reliving the betrayal. It chains you to the very people who hurt you. His words hit too close to home. So what did you do instead? I moved here, started over, found joy in small things. He gestured to the garden. It wasn't easy. Some days I still get angry, but I'm not defined by what they did anymore. I looked down at my dirt-covered hands. I don't know if I can let it go that easily. Who said anything about easy? He stood, offering me a hand up. But maybe there's a middle ground between destructive revenge and passive forgiveness. Something that lets you reclaim your power without becoming someone you don't recognize. As I took his hand, my phone buzzed with a text from Sabrina. Made contact with Regina. She has no idea who I am. Baby shower invitations going out next week. Are you in or out? The deadline loomed before me, forcing a decision I wasn't ready to make. But looking at Quentin's open, honest face, I knew I couldn't follow Sabrina down her path of destruction. I need to make a call, I said, brushing dirt from my jeans. Thanks for the perspective. Anytime, he replied. Some weeds are worth pulling. Others just make room for something better to grow. You did what? Amber's voice rose an octave, echoing through her small kitchen. I continued stirring the pasta sauce, refusing to meet her eyes. I sent Regina a congratulations card. For the baby. Why would you do that? I thought you were trying to move on. I am, I said, tasting the sauce. Needed more salt. But I also need closure. And a cryptic card provides that how exactly? I added salt, stirred again. It wasn't cryptic. It was strategic. I signed it, looking forward to celebrating with you, and included my new number. Amber stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're planning to go to her baby shower? The event celebrating the child she's having with your ex-fiancé? Have you lost your mind? Maybe I had. The past week had been a blur of conflicting emotions. Rage giving way to grief, giving way to a strange, cold clarity. After my conversation with Quentin in the garden, I'd called Sabrina and told her I wasn't interested in her scorched earth approach. She'd been furious, threatening to move forward without me. But something told me her plan would fall apart without my involvement. I'm not going to make a scene, I assured Amber. I just need to see them together, to understand what happened. For my own peace of mind. Bullshit. Amber crossed her arms. You're still plotting something. I can see it in your eyes. I turned off the stove. Think what you want. But Regina texted me this morning. She wants to meet. And you agreed? I did. I poured the sauce over the pasta. Tomorrow at that cafe near the park. She says she has things to explain. Amber's expression softened. Are you sure you're ready for that? No, I wasn't sure. The thought of facing Regina made my stomach churn. But I'd spent 3 weeks hiding in Amber's apartment, working remotely and avoiding social media. It was time to confront reality. I need to hear what she has to say, I said simply, even if it's just more lies. Amber didn't look convinced, but she dropped the subject as we sat down to eat. The conversation shifted to safer topics. Her latest art commission, my work projects, Quentin's invitation for me to join the community garden committee. It wasn't until after dinner, as we washed dishes side by side, that Amber spoke again about Regina. Just promise me something, she said, handing me a plate to dry. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Not just of them, but of yourself. Revenge changes people, and rarely for the better. I took the plate, remembering Sabrina's bitter eyes, the hatred that seemed to consume her. I know. I promise I'm not turning into her. Into who? No one. I put the plate away. Just someone I met who's been down this road before. The cafe was crowded when I arrived, but I spotted Regina immediately. She sat in a corner booth, hands wrapped around a mug of tea, looking smaller than I remembered. Her pregnancy was visible now, a gentle curve beneath her sweater. She saw me approaching and straightened, her face a mixture of hope and fear. Layla, you came. I said I would. I slid into the booth across from her, maintaining as much distance as possible. You said you wanted to explain. Regina nodded, her fingers tightening around her mug. I do. But first I need to say I'm sorry. What I did was unforgivable. Then why do it? The question came out sharper than I intended. It's complicated. She looked down. Kate and it wasn't planned. It just happened. Things like that don't just happen, Regina. You make choices. I know. Her voice was barely audible. And I made terrible ones. I betrayed your trust in the worst possible way. I studied her face, searching for the friend I'd once loved like a sister. All I saw was a stranger wearing her features. How long? I asked. She hesitated. 8 months. 8 months. While I was planning our wedding, picking out flowers, writing vows, Cade had been sleeping with my best friend. The betrayal felt fresh all over again, a wound reopened. Did you love him? I wasn't sure why I needed to know, but I did. I thought I did. Regina's eyes filled with tears. But now I don't know. He's not who I thought he was. Something in her tone made me pause. What do you mean? She wiped her eyes. After you found out, when we finally got together officially, things changed. He became distant, secretive, always on his phone, always working late. I felt a bitter laugh bubble up. Let me guess. You think he's cheating on you. I know he is. She pulled out her phone, showing me a series of text messages. With someone named Sabrina. I found these last week. Seeing Sabrina's name on Regina's phone was surreal. The messages were explicit, leaving no doubt about their relationship. But what caught my attention was the timestamp. 2 days after my meeting with Sabrina, when she'd claimed Cade was trying to escape from Regina. How did you find these? I asked. I checked his phone while he was in the shower. Regina looked ashamed. I know it was wrong, but I had this feeling. And then I found so much more. Messages to other women, dating apps, even... She swallowed hard. Even messages about me saying the baby might not be his. Is it? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Of course it is. Her indignation seemed genuine. I've never been with anyone else. That's what makes his accusation so horrible. I sat back, processing this new information. If Regina was telling the truth, Cade had been manipulating all of us. Me, Regina, Sabrina, probably others I didn't even know about. Why are you telling me this? I asked finally. What do you want from me? Nothing. She reached across the table, then thought better of it and withdrew her hand. I just thought you deserved to know the truth, and... She hesitated. I got your card. About the baby shower. What about it? Did you mean it? About wanting to celebrate with me? The question hung between us, loaded with implications. This was my opening, the opportunity I'd been waiting for. But looking at Regina, pregnant, betrayed, vulnerable, I felt my carefully constructed plan wavering. I don't know, I answered honestly. Part of me wants to support you because we were friends for so long. Another part can't forget what you did. Regina nodded slowly. I understand. But if you did want to come, it would mean a lot to me. As I left the cafe, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. DNA test results confirm what we suspected. Baby isn't Cade's. I have proof. Meet me tonight if you want the full story. This changes everything. Brendan. I stared at the message, my heart racing. If the baby wasn't Cade's, whose was it? And why would Regina lie about something so fundamental? The answers were within reach. All I had to do was meet Brendan and get the proof. Then I could decide what to do with it. Expose them at the shower as originally planned, or find another way to use this information. Either way, there was no turning back now. The gardenia was transformed for Regina's baby shower. Soft pink and gold decorations, floral arrangements on every surface, a table piled high with wrapped gifts. Women in sundresses mingled, champagne flutes in hand, their laughter rising and falling like waves. I stood just inside the entrance, my heart hammering against my ribs, the envelope in my purse feeling impossibly heavy. You came. Regina appeared beside me, her face lighting up with genuine surprise. She wore a flowing dress that accentuated her pregnancy, making her look both vulnerable and radiant. I wasn't sure you would. I said I would. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, too calm for the storm raging inside me. Congratulations. She touched her stomach reflexively. Thank you. It means a lot that you're here. I nodded, unable to form words around the knot in my throat. 3 weeks had passed since our cafe meeting. 3 weeks of sleepless nights and endless debates with myself about what to do with the information Brendan had given me. Come meet everyone, Regina said, taking my elbow gently. Some of the girls from college are here. They've been asking about you. I let her guide me through the crowd, nodding at familiar faces, accepting hugs from women I'd once considered friends. They all seemed surprised to see me, their eyes darting between Regina and me with barely concealed curiosity. Is Cade here? I asked, scanning the room. Not yet. He had a work thing, but he promised to stop by. Regina's smile tightened slightly. You know how he is with schedules. I did know. It was one of the many things about him I'd overlooked, excused, rationalized away. His perpetual lateness, his vague explanations, his ability to make you feel like you were overreacting when you questioned him. Layla? A voice behind me made me turn. Marin stood there, champagne in hand, looking as shocked as if she'd seen a ghost. What are you doing here? I invited her. Regina answered before I could. We're working things out. Marin's eyes narrowed with suspicion. She pulled me aside as soon as Regina was distracted by another guest. What are you playing at? She hissed. Last time we talked, you were plotting revenge. Now you're at her baby shower like you're best friends again? I took a deep breath. Things have changed. Changed how? Before I could answer, a commotion at the door drew everyone's attention. Cade had arrived, all smiles and charm, carrying a bouquet of roses. He froze when he saw me, his confident facade cracking for just a moment before he recovered. Layla, he said, approaching cautiously. This is unexpected. Is it? I kept my voice light. Regina invited me. We've been talking. His eyes darted to Regina, who was watching us intently from across the room. Have you? About what? Old times. New beginnings. I smiled, the expression feeling foreign on my face. The baby. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear, maybe, or calculation. Right. The baby. Congratulations, by the way. I raised my voice slightly, ensuring nearby guests could hear. You must be so excited to become a father. He shifted uncomfortably. Yeah, it's a big change. The biggest. I sipped my water. I was just telling Regina how amazing it is that you're stepping up, taking responsibility. Not every man would. Cade's smile became strained. Well, you know me. Always doing the right thing. Do I know you, Cade? I'm not sure I ever did. Before he could respond, Regina called for everyone's attention. It was time for gifts. I watched as she settled into a decorated chair, Cade standing awkwardly beside her, his eyes constantly drifting to his phone. One by one, guests presented their offerings: tiny clothes, handmade blankets, practical items for new parents. Each gift was met with appropriate oohs and ahs, Regina's gratitude seeming genuine despite the tension radiating from Cade. Finally, it was my turn. I approached them slowly, aware of every eye in the room on me. "I wasn't sure what to get you," I said, handing Regina the envelope from my purse. "But I think this is something you both need." Regina looked confused but opened it, pulling out the document inside. Her face paled as she read, her hands beginning to tremble. "What is it?" Cade asked, reaching for the paper. "DNA results," Regina whispered, looking up at me with wide, frightened eyes. "How did you get this? Does it matter?" I kept my voice gentle. "What matters is what it says." Cade snatched the paper, scanning it quickly. His expression hardened. "This is bullshit. It's fake." "It's not," I said calmly. "I had it verified by 2 separate labs. The baby isn't yours, Cade." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Regina clutched her stomach protectively, tears streaming down her face. "You're lying," Cade spat. "She wouldn't cheat on me." The irony of his indignation almost made me laugh. "Like you cheated on me? On her? On Sabrina?" His face went slack at Sabrina's name. "How do you know about Sabrina?" I finished for him. "We've met, compared notes. She's been quite helpful, actually." Regina stood shakily. "Who's Sabrina?" "Ask him," I said. "Ask him about all the women he's been seeing while you've been planning this baby shower. While you've been going to doctor's appointments alone. While you've been believing his lies." The room had gone completely silent, everyone frozen in place, witnessing the implosion of carefully constructed deceptions. "Is it true?" Regina asked Cade, her voice breaking. "Have you been cheating on me too?" His silence was answer enough. Regina turned to me, devastation written across her face. "And the baby?" she whispered. "If it's not his, then whose?" I took a deep breath. The moment I'd been planning for weeks finally here. But looking at Regina, broken, humiliated, surrounded by witnesses to her shame, I couldn't deliver the final blow I'd intended. "That's between you and the father," I said quietly. "I just thought you deserved to know the truth about Cade before you tied your life to his permanently." Regina nodded slowly, tears still falling. "Thank you," she said, so softly I almost didn't hear it. Cade looked between us, realization dawning. "You planned this," he accused me. "You set this whole thing up to humiliate me." "No, Cade," I replied, a strange calm settling over me. "You did this to yourself. I just made sure everyone could see who you really are." As he stormed out, phone already pressed to his ear, I felt no triumph, no vindication. Only a profound relief that I was no longer carrying the weight of his betrayal alone. Regina sank back into her chair, her friends rushing to surround her with comfort and questions. I stood apart, watching the scene unfold, feeling strangely disconnected from it all. Maren appeared at my side. "That wasn't what I expected," she said quietly. "Me neither." I turned to leave, my purpose here fulfilled. "Layla," Regina called out, stopping me. Our eyes met across the room, hers full of tears, mine finally clear. "Why didn't you tell them everything? About the baby's father?" I smiled sadly. "Because some truths aren't mine to tell." The sunrise painted Amber's garden in gold and pink, dew glistening on the plants we'd spent weeks nurturing. I knelt in the soft earth, transplanting seedlings from their small containers into the ground. The work was methodical, soothing. Press fingers into soil, create space, place roots gently, cover, water, repeat. "I thought I'd find you out here," Quentin said, approaching with 2 steaming mugs. "Coffee?" I accepted gratefully, the warmth seeping through my dirt-stained gloves. "Thanks. I couldn't sleep." "Baby shower aftermath?" He settled beside me, careful not to disturb the newly planted seedlings. Something like that. I hadn't told him everything about yesterday's confrontation, just that I'd attended Regina's shower and things had gotten intense. It didn't go exactly as planned. Your revenge, you mean? I looked up, surprised. How did you know? I didn't for sure, but I recognized the look in your eyes when you talked about them. He shrugged. I had that same look once. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the garden come alive with morning light. I'd been staying in Amber's guest room for nearly 2 months now, longer than I'd initially planned. Somehow, this small town had become a refuge, and Quentin, with his quiet understanding and gentle humor, had become a friend when I needed one most. Regina called me last night, I said finally, after everyone left. What did she want? To thank me, strangely enough. I traced the rim of my mug. She said I could have destroyed her completely, but I didn't. Quentin raised an eyebrow. Could you have? I nodded slowly. The DNA test wasn't the only information I had. I knew who the real father was, too. And you didn't reveal it. No. I remembered Regina's face when I'd handed her the envelope. The fear, the shame, the silent pleading in her eyes. It wouldn't have served any purpose except humiliation. She's going to have enough to deal with. That's surprisingly compassionate, considering everything. Maybe. I pulled off my gloves, examining the dirt embedded under my fingernails. Or maybe I just realized I didn't want to be the person who could do that to someone else, even if they deserved it. My phone buzzed with a text. Brendan asking if I'd gone through with the plan. I ignored it, just as I'd ignored Sabrina's angry messages after the shower. Their hunger for destruction no longer matched my own. What happens now? Quentin asked. I don't know. I set my empty mug on the ground. I've been hiding here, focusing all my energy on revenge. Now that it's over, I'm not sure what comes next. You could stay, he suggested, his voice carefully neutral. Amber mentioned you've been working remotely. You could do that from here permanently. The idea was tempting. This quiet life, this garden, this man with kind eyes who never pushed too hard. But something inside me resisted. I can't keep hiding, I said finally. I need to go back, face my life. That's not hiding, Quentin countered. That's running. Before I could respond, Amber appeared at the garden gate, her expression serious. Layla, someone's here to see you. My heart stuttered. Cade? No. Amber stepped aside, revealing Regina standing behind her, looking small and uncertain in the morning light. I stood, brushing soil from my knees. Regina, what are you doing here? I needed to talk to you. Her eyes were red-rimmed from crying, but her voice was steady. Properly talk, not just on the phone. Quentin squeezed my shoulder as he passed. I'll give you two some space. When we were alone, Regina approached cautiously, as if expecting me to send her away. I'm sorry for showing up like this. Amber gave me the address. It's fine. I gestured to the garden bench. Do you want to sit? She nodded gratefully, lowering herself onto the bench with one hand protectively over her stomach. We sat in awkward silence, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. Cade's gone, she said finally. He packed his things last night and left. No explanation, no goodbye. Just a text saying he needed space. I'm sorry. And surprisingly, I meant it. Don't be. You were right about him. She looked down at her hands. About everything, really. I just couldn't see it. Neither could I admitted. Not for a long time. Regina took a deep breath. There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you months ago. I tensed, preparing for another revelation. Another betrayal. The baby's father, she began, then faltered. It's Marcus. The name hit me like a physical blow. Marcus? My brother? She nodded, tears spilling over. It happened after your engagement party. We were both drunk, both feeling, I don't know, left behind maybe? It was just once. Then I met Cade at that charity event, and he was so charming, so interested. Does Marcus know? My voice sounded distant to my own ears. No, we haven't spoken since that night. She wiped her eyes. I was too ashamed to tell him, too afraid of what you would think. The irony was almost too much. All this time, all this pain, all this plotting. And the truth was more complicated than I could have imagined. Are you going to tell him? I asked. I don't know. She looked at me directly for the first time. Should I? The question hung between us, loaded with implications. This wasn't just about Regina and Marcus anymore. It was about a child, my niece or nephew, who deserved to know their father. Yes, I said finally. He should know. And for what it's worth, Marcus has always wanted to be a father. Relief washed over her face. Thank you. For that. And for yesterday. You could have exposed everything, but you didn't. I almost did. I admitted. That was my plan all along. To humiliate you both publicly. To make you feel as betrayed as I felt. What changed? I looked around at the garden. At the tiny seedlings I'd just planted. At the life slowly taking root. I did. I realized revenge wouldn't undo what happened. It would just keep me trapped in that moment forever. Regina reached for my hand hesitantly. I let her take it, feeling the strange circle we'd traveled. From friends to enemies to something new I couldn't yet name. I don't expect forgiveness, she said quietly. I know what I did was unforgivable. Maybe. I squeezed her hand once before letting go. But maybe forgiveness isn't what matters most. Maybe it's finding a way forward that doesn't let the past define you. As she left, promising to call Marcus, I returned to my seedlings. The last one was struggling, its stem bent nearly to breaking. Carefully, I staked it upright, giving it the support it needed to grow toward the light. Quentin reappeared, watching me work. Everything okay? Not yet, I said, patting the soil around the fragile plant. But it will be. I stood, surveying the garden we'd created from nothing but dirt and hope. Some plants were thriving, others struggling, all of them reaching for something better than where they began. I think I'm ready to go home now, I said, feeling the truth of it settle in my bones. Not to run away or hide, just to start again. Need company for the drive? Quentin asked, his offer simple and undemanding. I smiled, really smiled, for what felt like the first time in months. I'd like that. The morning light strengthened around us, illuminating the path ahead. Not perfect or painless, but mine to choose, one step at a time.